gentlemen, are we all here ready to fucking go? I asked y'all a question! As I reveal my giant's monkey! That's not as funny as you thought it was, boy!
God, I thought he meant penis!
I swear, the only thing I hate more than weaklings.
Hey, I'm speaking, soldier! Don't fucking speak unless you're fucking nerd! What we're gonna do is we're gonna fly over the
The talk show at the end of the week.
Space is big.
Star Citizen Base.
It's really big.
Roundtable.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Star Citizen Base Roundtable here on the Base Radio, as always, on this Sunday afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Welcome. We have, well, what we do here, you all know, pretty much that's why you're here, because we talk Star Citizen stuff, and we, we're not afraid to go dirty.
Or have Mitauchi on.
Crazy, or have Mitauchi on. Wait, I'm getting to you.
I know you are, but I'm just saying, some people are scared to have me on their show anymore.
Are they?
Yeah. You didn't hear about the thing?
To take off your shirt and dance on the table, right?
It happens. It's one time. It's okay.
Just, it never goes away.
So, in case you're here for the first time, we talk Star Citizen. We have salt, we have sugar, we have nice things, we have bad things, we have questions as well. And speaking of which, let me start the question bot. It works pretty simple. It's pretty standard actually, because you prefix every question with the word or with a Q in square brackets or question in square brackets. There's multiple ways of doing it. Send it in Twitch chat, it'll get submitted. It'll go in a pile and a list, and we can go through that in the later part of the show. So yeah, we have our usual bunch of people, and yeah, Mitauchi is a guest. Welcome to the show. Again.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this is 2 or 3 times now.
Green
energy, really? Is that like solar in a fucking bottle? What is that?
It's concentrated.
Are we plugging now? Are we doing sponsorships and plugs? It's like I highly recommend Leap Energy or 133 Energy. It's a very good product.
I'm just saying the things I do for you people is crazy.
This episode of the Roundtable brought to you by Burners, only available in Michigan.
That's right.
That's like 4 or 5 espresso cups.
Those hearts going to explode on stream, so get ready, guys.
I know, right?
Latest Roundtable.
Yep. I was going to say, 133 Energy has no gluten, no sugar, no fillers. Matter of fact, there's nothing inside of it at all.
Empty pill.
It's an empty container. You can do that.
It's very inexpensive.
Yeah.
Lead energy.
So,
it's good.
Actually, let me begin with Juntai. You were on Astropub yesterday. Was that fun?
Yeah. It was very exciting, right? It was an amazing cast. I don't know if anybody. I know some of you were there. Some of the people here were there, and the most notable guest was failure to report. I'm like, okay. He's a lot nicer than he comes across on his YouTube channel. I can tell you that for sure.
Still an asshole, though.
We had a really nice conversation after the show. And he's really not.
He has a persona to uphold.
I don't know. I think he's like pissed off about some stuff. Really? And metering yourself when you're angry is difficult, So he's mad about some stuff. But he's not wrong in his viewpoints on some things, but just the way he comes across in his videos sometimes is harsh, maybe overly harsh. But I liked him. He was nice. It was a good conversation.
He was nice compared to his videos.
He
I
was
think I'm going to
well
make a
behaved.
Star Citizen. We need a Chris Roberts doll or a Star Citizen doll, and we'll ask the people like where they were touched mistakenly on the doll by Star Citizen, because there's a lot of people really bitter. You know what I mean? It's like, where did Star Citizen touch you? Show me.
Don't worry, Titus.
Right in the fields. Usually it'll be right in the backside where the wallet is. It's like this is the problem.
But if you want to get into some of that, we can get into some of what concerns him, and it's some of its valid concerns. About marketing tactics and LTI and the way that new backers really don't. It's not in Noobifier is in the same camp with that aspect of it, except for Noobifier presents himself in a completely different way.
It's presentable.
So instead of saying you nobody's going to listen to you when you're like fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. That's probably why we have a limited viewership, because I'm here. But we've been saying for a long time that the new backer experience is fucked up. It's not clear what's going on when you start looking into Star Citizen. You have to do a fuck ton of research in order to make an informed decision, which if you're an adult, you would do a fuck ton of research on any purchase to make an informed decision. You wouldn't just take your wallet and fucking stuff it in your CD-ROM and hope that Chris gets all your money.
Well, and gamers in general are pretty bitter. Think about it this way. Even if you're not an older gamer, even I have 16, 18-year-old kids I know that like literally they're debating on where to spend their $50 like on a FPS like Call of Duty or something that's rehashed every single year and it's the same crap. So when it comes to something that has a higher bar like Star Citizen, they're just like whatever.
Did the stream stop? Is the stream skipping?
It is. Rellim's like hitching. Because he's got Star Citizen and World of Warcraft and YouPorn and all this other shit going on in the background.
I'm not skipping. It's fine.
No, it was stopping for several seconds there.
See, it is stuttering.
It's a little stutter.
That's your computer streaming, not mine.
You mean our server?
Yeah.
It might be.
Okay. Might be.
Could be Twitch too.
I'm still watching myself right there. It's fine right now.
Yeah.
I'm watching you too right there.
I'm watching you all my other cameras.
On that monitor. Or maybe it's on that monitor. No, it's on that monitor because you're on that monitor.
I got a new monitor.
I know, I saw that.
It's not
You're
very
not
good.
happy with black. Did you get it on Master?
No, it's just a regular one. But it's a VA panel, and I thought that they were improved. They had improved colors compared to TN panels. It doesn't look
black
like it.
is really hard to do.
Yeah, but Jesus Christ, I've
Black
had this
is
Dell Ultra Sharp that's now on my left. I had it for maybe 6 years, and it still represents the whole from white to black, and especially the shadows are very smooth because it's an IPS panel. And I was like, okay, this should be at least as good as that.
No, IPS is way better.
It's still way better, and I still don't understand then why people still get TN panels. So they're saying, oh, it's a lower response time. Who the hell cares for that couple of milliseconds difference?
But the problem with
depends on what you play, I guess, right?
If you get an ultra wide,
unless
you get an ultra wide with IPS, the cost goes up. But that's the problem. That's why it's TN panels, not because it's better. It's cheaper, because it's cheaper.
Like the only monitors I care about my main game monitor, and then that's it. The rest of the stuff is all for support stuff for the broadcast. So I want them to be clear and nice. But I usually actually buy LG monitors now for my cheaper monitors on the side, and it works really well. You can get 32s for well under like $150.
Yeah, I've been buying $99 Asus VH28s for fucking ever for $99. So
230 euros screen.
Well, that's not expensive if all things considered. If you really want
7.
good blacks and good response times and all this shit, the Acer Predator, Asus has. Don't they have? Is that the ROG something?
Yep, Asus
something
ROG.
And these motherfuckers are like crazy expensive.
Yep.
Like $600, $700, $800 for a
They were
27-inch monitor.
Right? They were $1,200 a couple years ago. They just come down. They're
like you said earlier, Mitch. It's like a fucking cap ship. You could buy a cap ship.
Yeah. When I start buying hardware, and I'm like, well, I could go get an Idris, or I could replace all my monitors. Maybe I'll just stick with the monitors I got.
It's a tough call, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
shit ain't cheap, especially when you're a Star Citizen and you got to have a certain level of a PC and you want really good color because the game is freaking gorgeous if it comes in right.
That's another thing, though. You're talking about Star Citizen here, which contains a lot of black, a lot of dark things. You're having space, and the fact that the whole skybox is like this smooth thing of nebula in the background that is all in the right below. It's in a black range. So if that can't be displayed very smoothly, you see all these bands in the middle of space. And you're like, what the hell is that anyway?
Yeah,
I get some of that on my $900 Samsung 34-inch ultra wide.
I don't even get that on the Dell though.
Bad, but you could see you could see the color shift. It isn't a really super smooth blend. It's not really bad, but it's there. So I would assume that if I spent money on a good monitor instead of a big monitor, probably would have gotten better color.
I bought a 4K LG for my primary monitor, and I never will be able to go back to 1080p again. So it's because once I shifted it down, I'm getting, because the frames are so much better in Star Citizen now. I shifted it down to 1080 when I played Star Marine about a week or two ago, just because I wanted to see. And I was getting like 180 to 200 frames on Star Marine. It was amazing.
In 4K?
No, in 1080.
Oh,
but when I go back to 4K, I'm getting back in the 45 to 70 range and stuff. And I'm like, I don't care if I get better frames, because usually I do care as an FPS player. I care about those frames because it's so much smoother. I'm like, 4K is so beautiful, because it made Star Citizen look pastel to me in 1080p. After watching it in 32 inches at 4K, I'm like, oh, I have to stick with it now. So now I just
once you watch it in 4K, you can technically go down a little bit. You can make custom
2K
resolutions
is not
that
bad.
will fit.
2K is not bad,
but it has to be somewhere between 2K and 4K. Once you watch it on 4K, it's just,
it reveals the grain pattern in the metal on the sides of your ship. Like when you're in 2 and 4K, you can see that. You go to 1080p, it looks good, but it does not look the same. You don't get the same really hardcore
55-inch 4K. I've had that for now 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
I haven't played. I keep, since I only have a 980 Ti, I keep having to reduce the resolution to a custom resolution, which is better than a 3440 1440p. So there's somewhere in between 4K and that. But I make a custom resolution that fits in there, and just taking that down from 4K a bit, not as much as Junta's, ultra wide, but still somewhere down, makes me suddenly pop up to, if possible, 50, 60 frames per second on a 980 Ti.
Yep.
And it's stunning. I don't. Why would I play on any other resolution? Why would I go down to even 2K? It makes no sense.
Well, some people don't have a choice.
Yeah, if you don't have a choice, I'm telling you, if you're not financially prepared to make the full move to 4K, don't do it. Because you will never want to go back. Don't go to 4K until you can afford to maintain it and make it really nice. Because it's just like, it's hard to go back. You can't do it.
Yeah. So the 2080 Ti is capable of running 4K on a single card. No problem whatsoever. Even at 2080 regular.
Yeah, and it's also $1,300, and they're also having major manufacturing defects in that fucking card.
Literally before I came on the show, Cream, for those people that watch Cream and Burke and the Late Night Crew on Twitch and stuff like that, Cream's 2080 Ti card exploded in his machine the other day. He just got a replacement card for it. There are people like and that's a small finite group of people, right? They're getting like their flagship cards. They're having some issues with it. I'm not saying don't get it, but definitely don't try to play around too much with the RTX. The RTX stuff just doesn't seem to be worth that, And I know
the 1080 Ti is freaking ridiculous right now, and the price is right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if you want a high-end card, and the 2080 just isn't ready. There's some sort of manufacturing defect in the board, and they didn't apparently let the board partners use custom PCBs like they have in the past on this model. They're using reference PCBs, which I really don't understand. Just give them the fucking architecture and let EVGA build a real good card.
Yeah.
And problem solved. Yeah. Fuck you, NVIDIA. God damn it.
Not doing that?
It turns out that not all the producers have the same problem. They've stuck to this using the same solution they used when they have their own PCBs, and that's resulted in various overheating issues. So,
I think the challenge is too with NVIDIA in this go around is they release this RTX stuff, and they think they have this new coin technology, with RTX that isn't new tech anyway, but they're trying to sit there and implement it, and they wanted to not share all that tech with everybody, right? So that way you have to buy their reference card, their tech there, and then also they're trying to convince game companies to utilize it. But the problem is, from just everybody's experience, you can go on YouTube, people are getting huge frame degradation stuff trying to use RTX. They just turn off RTX on a 2080 Ti and they're getting amazing frames, and it still looks really good. But it's just that stupid shadow tech. It's like adding motion blur and everything to Star System, and your frames tank.
That's all. It's just not ready.
Yeah. It's not ready for that type of stuff. The mirrored image stuff, all that crap, it doesn't run it well.
Well, what I like about that is they show you could see the fire in the guy's eyeballs. When the fuck do you notice that when you're trying not to die?
No, it depends. Again, it depends on the game. If you're playing like a noir story game or something like that, maybe that'd be really cool to hit all that cinematics like that. But if you're playing Battlefield 5, I love the aesthetics, but I don't look in the car doors to see if the fireball's behind me when I'm getting shot at. It's like, it's cool for cinematics, but
it'll be the same in Star Citizen. You can look around and all this stuff, but if you don't see the reflection of the quantum in your visor or something like that, you're never gonna notice.
Well, and to be fair, every time they add crap like that in Star Citizen, we bitch about it, right? The reflection, the scratches in the whole hood or canopy of your ship.
So bad.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, it's great they went for that level of detail, and I get it as an artist, like that's what they're trying to do. But when we go to play it, it's like, my God, I paid what for this ship? I just want to be able to see and use it. It's like I need a checkbox. No scratches. Right. No mirror imaging, please. Just I want to uncheck those. They're cool for like when I make videos, but they're not so cool to play with.
I was flying the Arrow for the last couple days, and sometimes it's like driving in heavy fog. If you know what it's like to drive in heavy fog, you can't. It's something to do with the way they render the glass. It looks all scratched up.
Huh.
Yeah. It's definitely different, and I'm sure it's intentional. That ship is really nice, though. By the way, I like it.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of this.
It looks like it's gonna be really good in atmosphere.
Because I had the M50 for a long time, and actually back in the Arena Commander days, that was a pretty good fighter. And you could just wreck Vandal Swarm with it.
Because it's hard to hit. It's so small.
Yeah, and it was actually pretty. It was okay to fight with, but when I lately tried that ship, it's like it's so nimble that you black out all the time, and the guns are just like tickling ships. They don't do much anymore. So I was like,
that's the difference with this ship.
Yeah, and I was always looking for the whole thing with the M50 that I hoped it would one day be made so that it could still be somewhat more beefy, so it could actually be an interceptor.
Mm-hmm.
And so like a very small
but this one has that capability,
light fighter. So yeah, and then I saw this and like, this could be a good alternative to that, because I don't really know what they're planning to do
LTI token.
Well,
with the M50.
I'll tell you what. the arrows made me highly consider, and I haven't flown it yet. I'm gonna fly it probably today, tomorrow, after I get done moving the whole office around and all that stuff. But I'm seriously, if I enjoy it as much as I think I will, I think I'm going to maybe get rid of my Buccaneer for this ship.
But look at it. Look at it. It's the perfect ship for the Kraken.
Yep.
How many can you get on the Kraken? You know, how many can you have in?
Yeah, they fold up so nicely.
many-
You can.
Well,
it's
even-
really narrow that way. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day. The interesting thing in the way they're designing the more new ships, right? All the new ships, the way that everything since the Eclipse, where they're folding in the wings and doing all that. I really believe they're getting closer and closer to wanting to start to release some caps into the game. Even though the big metric is we all say, okay, not till Squadron 42 drops. They don't really want to release the caps in the game and all that stuff. All the ships are designed to fit more and more into these capitals, I feel like. That's why they're making them more compact. That's why they're making the wings fold. That's why they're technically doing that. I think we're going to see caps in the game sooner than we think. And I think that I'm still thinking maybe by middle next summer, we might start to see some capitals come in. And I really hope so. Because think about it, all the design, all the footprint, everything's getting smaller. Look at the redesign on the Hornet. The Hornet, even though from what we saw in the showroom here during the anniversary sale and stuff, it looks a little bit shorter from butt to nose to me than what the other Hornet did.
It's another rework.
So,
On the F7A.
on the F7A. So I feel like they're making them more compact to fit on ships like the Idris and all these things, because we've made these ships like most things are going to encapsulate. And with the new quantum drive metrics of like a large ship with larger engines and larger quantum drive jumps so much faster through space. Like when you're traveling from Ulsor to Hurston in a Starfarer Gemini, it's 4.5 minutes. If you jump in a Hornet, 12 minutes. It's going to make people want to use these caps to move around space, if for nothing else, not even combat. But I would load up on a Kraken and just jump there and back and forth just to move my ships.
Yeah, ship transport.
It's gonna be and people don't get why. Why should a big ship travel faster at quantum? Well, because it has bigger quantum engines.
Yep.
That's why. And it can carry way more fuel.
It's all kinds of shit. The power plants are bigger, so you generate more.
Mhm.
It makes sense when you break it down into the component system. If you don't, and you're just like, well, the small ship should be faster because technically, like smaller cars are usually faster. But
yeah, but also the great idea of the game mechanics of them making a larger ship be able to move faster through space. Smaller ships have a faster local with sublight and stuff. Is not only does it provide a great usefulness for capital ships and moving other ships and being able to use them for transport that way. Think about the dynamic of, say you're just an industrialist and you're moving like a whole E or whatever, and you're trying to pull out of atmosphere. You get all this stuff, you get out there to space, or you're, I guess the whole E can't come out of atmosphere, but the whole E's already in space. It's trying to get away and do its load and stuff, and then it gets descended on by pirates, be it players or NPCs. Then you have that really interesting gameplay of that whole E's trying to pull away from these little guys that are trying to break up the quantum signature and bubble by shooting at it, keep them in space. But if you achieve it and you get into quantum, you can jump away and you're going to be 3 times faster than those fighters. Essentially, it gives the industrialists a way to get away from small ships and then have an opportunity to continue to go on. So it's great. It's like the whole Star Wars thing, right? The little ship, quick, we got to make it to hyperspace, before these guys get on me. And that's exciting. That's awesome. Otherwise, if small ships can move faster, boom, a whole E jumps. Fighters jump ahead of him because they see where he's going, and then they're right there in his face again. It's a great dynamic that has like 2 big purposes it serves. It serves not only for industrial gameplay to help you get away in a large ship from small piratey fighter craft, it also has a great transport metric that provides a whole different service in the game that makes those viable. So I think it's great. Might even give you a reason to want to use some of these holes over, like people always said, I'll use my Caterpillar instead of that garbage. Well, sometimes even a half-loaded whole E or whole C or whole D might make sense if the quantum drives are bigger in it, even if they're half-loaded, if you're using a different type of trade vessel.
Speaking of reworks, the today's expo is Origin, and they've put the 300 rework on display in the game.
Oh my god. Have you seen how nice it looks?
It's really nice. Yeah, like I found these. I've actually I tried to do this myself, but I haven't managed. I don't know how they clip the camera through the ship, but apparently there's an interior, and it's just like the ship itself is so much more rounder instead of the square wingtips, and it's smoothly designed better. It has this cleaned up dash cockpit area. When in the old one, if you've looked at that, it's just like it's full of dumb buttons that don't do anything, which was always kind of like that thing that always kind of bothered us when they first released these ships. Is why there are so many buttons that are not usable, and are they ever going to make those usable? No, I guess not, because they just reworked them with
In
only
the
the
future,
buttons you
you
need.
won't be pushing buttons. You'll tell your computer which buttons to push.
And you'll have panels that can do all of that anyway. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has this. It's
looks a lot
pretty
better.
roomy though. It's like this typical Origin design now. The modern Origin design.
The BMW with a bed. It's crazy.
It
got
looks really
Like
nice.
a fridge in the bottom.
They
There.
got the mystery coming together a little bit there.
The
It's
toilet.
probably not
Well, you know,
everybody, but it's cool. It's got a toilet.
Yeah, dude. Well, you can look through the walls a bit, so it looks a bit odd in this. But yeah.
Never know. What's gonna
But if you
happen
just look
because-
at this view, you can see that wings are much more rounded off than the original that has
then the snout is wider.
Actually, it's more
Yeah.
of a duck snout. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's
big
still
problem
like
with the
you can kind of
very
tell that it's still working on it though.
no car.
Carpet?
That was the big. The old variant had no cargo. It had cargo, but there was no way to get cargo in it.
Yeah.
You know, because you couldn't carry a box up the fucking ladder. So we'll see. I was looking at underneath it. It looks like the bottom is going to lower like it does on the
It might have
Mustang series.
yeah, like a little Mustang type retractable cargo area. Yeah, you won't be able to get it through inside this ship. I guess.
I always honestly hated the 300 series, and I really like these a million times more. The 300 series suffered from the old architecture of like when they made the Auroras. We're going to make a series of hulls, and we're going to make them do everything, right? We're going to have the Explorer model. We're going to have the combat model. We're going to have the model that does this. And because it's just the way they used to design the ships in the beginning, right? Now they've made a lot more single role purpose ships that like this, like the, like the Anvil or the Valkyrie, for example, like where it's like this does this. We're not going to make a cargo variant and all these other variants. We're going to do one thing. So I like the fact they're going back and updating the look and feel of a lot of these ships. And I've noticed they haven't really, with a lot of them, they're trying not to extend the footprint on length. They're definitely making taller and thicker so you don't have to hunch down and like try to crawl through your ship because nobody wants to buy a luxury model anything and have to crawl through it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So I love the way they reworked it.
Fucked up though. When they first started designing ships, they designed ships before they designed characters. You know?
Yeah, or gameplay.
Right. So, which is okay. It worked out for them in the long run, you know, because we keep buying shit. So,
well, the ships are amazing. I mean, look what they did. They take something that I utterly thought the original 300 series I thought was trash. I didn't like it at all, and I honestly would buy this now. I think this looks a million times better. Still kept a cool shape language of the ship, but they made it practical because the 300 series, I thought, well, it looks cool from the outside, but the minute that door would fly open in the old model, it's like, oh, I'm like, what is this? It's like, I would never buy this in like a real vehicle.
Look at the history of ships. This is one of the first. This was the first cool ship, right? And for the longest time, this was, wow, we have to have this. I got one. I got the 320A, the 325A. It was absolutely stunning. I even had the 350R at some point, I think. Yeah, I did. Might still have it. I don't remember. And then you get another good ship that is more luxurious, where they've done more with the interior. And then you get another one that has better interior. I mean, at some point, the which was it? The super light starter ship that had the Gamma, Delta, etc.
Oh yeah, the Mustangs.
The Mustang
Yeah.
Beta had a better interior in its initial version than the 300i did. So it's just when they start doing stuff and adding in what they can do with the engine, the 300i just got outdated. But when it initially came, it was fucking stunning. And now they updated it to just be up, of the new tech and how they build ship and how they design them. So it's a natural progression, and it was good then and it was good now.
Yeah.
Except for the 600. I don't like that ship anymore. I'm gonna melt mine. I'm not impressed. Too much
I
wasted
melted it.
space.
I melted it as soon as I bought it.
It's a luxury
it was-
ship. I never bought
Yeah.
one. I didn't really care for the 600 as far as like its gameplay role. I think it's a beautiful ship.
Phoenix.
I'll get one in game because I want to collect them all, but I'm not going to spend my cash on one because I don't feel like I need the 600 for like any piece of like my fleet. I'm like,
One day, I liked the idea of the Phoenix. I hated the way it turned out. Not when they changed it, and I saw the image. Oh my god, I have to get one. So I got one, and now the anniversary sale come around. I melted the one with 6 months insurance and got the one with 72 months insurance. It's like, okay, the same price. I'm fine. I
And
don't need
everybody
it
who
LTI.
watches this stream is well versed with the way that the insurance works with Star Citizen. So if you have an older ship with low insurance, just fucking melt it and get it on the anniversary sale with 72 months is literally damn near LTI. If you can't get LTI, I don't recommend buying from the gray market. I don't
look at that.
really, it's not my business what you do with your money, but I don't personally approve of the way that the gray market handles things.
it's dangerous to the person, not to the company. It won't hurt CIG
Right.
any, but it's dangerous to you. I do know 2 people that got hosed by eBay because of that crap. And that's why because there's no way to prove what you get. So even though it's against the EU ULA and Star Citizen, you're not supposed to be doing that stuff, and you risk your account by doing it, which so I wouldn't recommend there. But again, it's just dumb to do as an individual because you can just wait for anniversary sale. These ships aren't going anywhere.
Where'd
You
you
can just
find
get
that
them.
animation?
We also linked it in the chat. Apparently, they did
Oh,
show
okay.
this at one point already.
Yep.
That is in the
Yeah, when they were
cargo lift.
concepting it.
How do you
Yep,
get
that's
in that
cool.
fucking ship though?
Probably just like the old one from the front. I don't think the cargo lift is accessible from the inside. It's probably just that thing that you need to get out for to access the cargo. Just like in a Mustang. I mean, it's not that. I don't think it's too small to do all that at the same time.
Well, that'll be good.
Yep.
It's still
they,
good, yeah.
It
Everybody wants to pick up their boxes. They
If
want to
only
put them
just a couple
everywhere.
of them, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't want to be picking up boxes in the game. I'm allergic to stupid gameplay. I mean, why is everything that I need to get collected, packaged, done, and ready in the fucking
Kill
box?
boars.
If I go to pick something up, I don't want it to be a box. I want it to be an actual item. And
Well,
up
because
to
it's all
me
they
to
fucking
start.
have right now.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll be able to go, if you were in the original 3.3.5, I think it was 3.3.5 where they added the grabby hands or whatever the hell you want to call it, right? When you spawned in the Habit Hurston, you could go over and you could pick up the coffee cup and you could do all that shit just like they showed in the demo. So you're gonna go search some freaking ancient ruins and find the fucking holy grail finally that we've been searching for thousands of years and become a multi UEC millionaire and donate it to the Smithsonian, where it's probably in Shanghai, China, I would assume now, because the United States is going to be, we're going to kill each other off by whatever year Star Citizen's going to be taking place.
Not me, I'll be in my
No.
bunker.
We should really wait until afterwards. Give us 10 years of Star Citizen, and I'll be happy.
Well, I can just live in our bunkers. We'll have internet connections. We'll be all right.
Oh, yeah, right.
Playing on satellites, uplink connection.
There you go. Everybody be like, we're trying to solve how to come back with the society. I'm like, nope, I'm down the bunker playing Star System. All right. Be good. No, I have to say, though, overall, Origin is probably my least favorite of the companies. Like, as far as all the different Star System companies, it's just doesn't really excite me personally. It's got cool looking stuff, but it's not really something. It's probably the one I'll own the least because I'm not a big 600 fan. The 300 series, they look amazing now. I think they're really cool, but again, it's stuff I'll collect in game. I don't need to buy any of that stuff out of here. They're probably usually people that would fly anything like the 600 or the 890 jumps and stuff like that. It would be the ones that I would be hunting down more than.
Well, if it's quick, that's the point. Have they done anything to the actual how it drives, how it flies?
Yeah. But to see in the new flight
comparison
model
to
how
the
that
other ships.
translates out, really.
Yeah. And that's probably why I get the 325A again.
Well, and one thing that we don't blend together properly sometimes as a community is people look at it as me PvP, something like that, but the PvE aspect of it will also be a thing. So if you're a 600i owner, chances are you're going to be doing, like they've talked about, having luxury transport missions to take a VIP. You're going to be moving a senator or something from their system to Terra for some summit or some bullshit. Then you're a target
to a moon.
Yeah, you become a target for NPC pirates, PC pirates, all this stuff. So
terrorists,
or on the flip side,
that'd be a cool mission. Go stop a VIP character from completing their mission. Like, go capture the VIP out of a 600i. That would be neat.
So, and that's part of the gameplay too. A lot of players seem to think PvP is going to be the biggest aspect of the game, but with the 9-to-1 ratio that they're going to try to achieve with NPCs, I would assume that you're going to run into more PvE combat on a regular basis, and you will obviously be able to engage in PvP. But if you're just going about your business, I would think that it's not going to be as regular as what people think.
No. I think most of the stuff if I want to go pirate wise, I think I'll mostly be attacking NPCs then too. That'll be 95. It'll be a lot more opportunities to attack NPCs as a pirate player than it will be to attack people.
And what's going to be the twisted part of that is that as a player flying against an NPC, a player would generally is going to be a better pilot with the right amount of practice, right? The NPCs are never going to be able to think ahead of the curve, right? They're going to do what they're programmed to do. So you get used to fucking zapping NPCs, and then you come across a player, and the dynamic of the way that you have to approach that completely changes.
Yeah, for sure.
In addition to that, you will have various skill levels of NPCs,
as well as various skill levels
various
of players.
Capability of hitting. Because that will also be, if you're, let's say you're playing alone, it's super easy for them to scale the mission towards you. First, they increase the skill level of the NPCs you're attacking, and that doesn't mean they have. It might be they have higher quality armor, they have higher quality gear on the ships, they have a quality. If you're hunting them on the ground, or in the station, they have better, armor on them. They have better weapons, personal weapons, etc.
But
they give
an answer to everything.
100% hit accuracy.
Yeah, but this is where the skill level comes in, and they can add increase the accuracy of that specific NPC that you're hunting, because you're shown that you have on the NPCs you don't die, so they say, okay, let's make it tougher for him, and it's super easy for them to track that.
It's going to take time, like everything else.
Mm-hmm. But that's their long time goal. And once they've hit the cap where, well, he's now laser deadly, we can't really go any beyond this. He's like a super skilled human. We add more of them. Okay, you're going alone, but you're so good that we don't want to increase the skill anymore on the NPCs, but we make more of them. So that he will have
Sure,
bodyguards,
and their
for instance.
probability bubbles that Tony was talking about. Yeah, if you're,
Yeah.
because they could track your metrics just like any other game does. How many times you hit, how many times you miss, all that shit. So, yeah, it'll be interesting if.
You should go to
And I
How
say
many
if.
times do you die to an NPC, basically?
If they can
That's
get it
super
all
simple.
in before the
Yeah.
end.
Too late, Eden. We're going to a music break. I see giants. Okay.
It's like, bye, Eden. Cut the tape.
No, just for a minute. And yeah,
We'll be
music
right
break.
back.
Yeah, the question bar is active. I've seen some people ask questions. That's good. So just a reminder that you can do that. We'll be right back. We'll just talk some more Star Citizen or whatever after that.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's Jared.
Hello. It's Jared. It is.
Okay, so I want to talk about something.
No, do you?
Maybe I should wait until well, technically, is this the third block? It's not really, because we're not following a time schedule like we usually do. We're like
Oh, we don't do that.
in a weird time thing. But I don't know if you've used the Google form provided by CIG to try to get
Google form.
to get CIG people on
right,
stream, Mitauchi? Have
No.
you- Okay, so the base radio, we used to be pretty good with that, right? We had Ben on, and we had Jared on, and we've had Jay Lee, and we've had
The
Several
FPS
people.
guy.
I don't even know. Yes, Sean Noonan, but he's gone.
Sean Noonan and Alex, who got
Cameron.
hired there, and Cameron Wilkie, right? So, and we've always been really good, I think, to CIG. You know, Jay Lee's been on here before, and they're like, yeah, fuck you.
It's not like that.
The base who? Fuck you.
Well,
Go fuck yourself. You're nobody. Oh, I sent an email to the press department, and they were like, oh, great. Give us a list of your interview questions.
Yep.
What?
Huh?
We don't do interviews. We do
Interview
conversations.
you know,
Yeah.
we just
talked
talk.
Come on,
to,
right?
PC
Yeah.
Gamer Magazine, motherfucker.
Yeah, but the problem, I guess, then is that they don't know. They you know, if you just go and have a talk, they won't know what you might want to talk about, and if that happens to be something that they can't talk about, then they can't at that point in time they can't just go, oh, let me actually check with him or her if I can talk about this or not, because they do need to check more and more often nowadays with their superiors or whoever. Is they actually may
I think
talk about stuff like that. It's
the process has changed, right? It's like changed from what it used to be.
Yeah.
It was a lot more organic, and each department head or person or community team member for CIG would be able to come on and just organically do what they want to do, and they kind of know where their place is. I think they're piping that through different logistically, where they want to, like the upper people, not pointing fingers at Sandy or Chris or anybody, but they want that a little bit more regulated on what's said, what's exactly put out there and stuff. So I think the only people that have free reign to like just pop on and do stuff anymore would still be probably Jared or Xylo for the most part. Everybody else, I think they need kind of like addressed.
I asked
questions and
Tyler, and he
Yes.
told me to fucking
fill out a form.
go fill out the form. I filled out
know.
the form. I got no response. And then I talked to Eric Kyron Davis, and he said, you have to email press@cloudimperiumgames.com. Okay, so I did that, and I had a nice conversation with Nick over there. And then all of a sudden it's like, fuck you. No response, no nothing. Really?
Yeah.
And I sent another follow-up email, said, just wondering if we had a decision for or against whether you're going to allow these people to come on because they want to come on, or they said they wanted to come on. And, you know, I'm going to tell you what, CIG, if you're worried about what your fucking developers are going to say on the base radio stream, you should probably put a muzzle on Chris, because he spews more shit that wasn't fucking coming to fruition than anybody.
That was
And I
years
get
ago.
it, going to the company and shit, but, you know, Squadron 42, 2016, motherfucker.
And if there was a list before with all these shows' names on it, Base Radio just went to the bottom.
Fuck whatever. Again. They ain't coming on. I don't even fucking care anymore. It's crazy shit.
The thing is with me is my show, like with the Space Bros and stuff like that, we like to have the viewpoint of other people. I always looked at this as like a community show. So it's nice when CIG, if they organically want to come on and chat, we've had that happen where, a while back now, but where if Tyler wants to come on or Jared's around, he wants to come on and talk a little bit and stuff, that's on them. But when I have other people on, like, they're not really on the show. If they come into my channel and they're playing games with me, I really try to pew down and chat. I don't like them to feel interrogated. I want them to come actually play the game. Because I feel like there's few opportunities these guys get to come and play the game with the community. And that's what I want them to do, because I think that's the piece that's missing with a lot of people. Not necessarily with, Tyler necessarily, because he's always in Twitch chats and stuff and watch that. Not necessarily even with people like Underscore or Jay Lee and them. But I think some of the devs need to play the game with the community so they can see what's going on. Because, like, I think Underscore playing with us found like 10, 15 bugs that he had never even seen before. That's not his job anymore because he's not in QA. But there's bugs and stuff that are revealed when you play in these larger group capacities where when you're in your internal network of CIG, you never see that stuff. You don't see how your work translates out to the fun we have. And I think that's important for them to do once in a while. Well, they need to see it. Chris needs to get out and play with some people.
That's what
without the gamepad.
Yeah.
We saw it with Sean as well, right?
Yeah, we did that.
Yes,
absolutely.
We had a huge Star Marine play session with Sean Noonan after he was on our show until like some ungodly fucking hour in the morning. I don't even remember. It was crazy. And he was like, "Oh, well, that's fucked up. I'm gonna have to fix that." But I think what disappoints me more than anything really is this was a grassroots movement, and it's not anymore. And I get that you need to protect yourself when you're as big as as CIG has gotten, right? But come on, it's not that big of a deal.
You have people that shouldn't be talking to anybody working for you. They're really good at what they do, but they're not people person, and or they can't keep their mouth shut. That's fine. You put a muzzle on them, but ship us the ones that are capable of talking and presenting you. And it's not like we are inviting somebody that worked with design and then ask them technical questions.
Yeah,
we are actually asking relevant questions to, and which we have a track record of doing. It's what the chat does. The chat, what it does whatever it does, and we'll just monitor or slice that out, and that's what we always do.
But to be fair,
we keep to what the person is working on and what they can answer on. And if you can't answer that, if you don't know what you can talk about and don't talk within your own field, that's CIG's problem. And they just should, I'm working with this. What can I talk about? That's the super simplest solutions that you can have.
There was a ton of times when we had Tyler Xylo on, and we would say something, and he would say specific. I can't speak to that directly, but what I can say is diversion, which is fine.
Yep.
But my point to CIG was the core of the community wants to feel connected to the company, not just the game, because some of these folks have put in an ungodly amount of money. The $45 backer isn't watching the stream.
Not
generally speaking, no. Most of them, they said the other day that there's 450,000 Auroras in circulation in the community.
Yeah,
there aren't 450,000 people watching streams across the board. It just, maybe 10K high end.
But if one of those developers came on a show on Twitch or on YouTube or anywhere else, and they spoke out of turn or said something, there would probably be 450,000 views on that video because it would get highlighted as the bullshit, right? Like, oh my God, look at this. They said some crazy stuff they're not supposed to say. So I don't have a problem with them asking for pre-screened questions, because you guys know this from talking to any of the devs, they're going to go where they want to go beyond that anyway. right? They always do. They always venture into other areas. So I think just to protect themselves, and more importantly, look at it like protecting the dev himself, because some of these guys, like, I guarantee if you got Dan Truffin on the show or something, he would probably snowball into areas where he'd have somebody else like Tyler going poking him, like, dude,
Can't say that right now.
don't talk about that, you know. And the guy, because the guys get excited like we do, and then they just go off on tangents, you know. Can you imagine if you had Tony Z come on and start talking about something? He could totally go into some snowball area of like, you're not supposed to talk about that part of assumption, you know.
Now, I wonder if it's gotten to the point at CIG where like they do calling all devs, right? And the questions and answers are pre-screened by their legal department or their press department or all these departments before they could even engage in the interview process. And then after the fact, they rescreen it again before they push it to live. So there's no bullshit that for some reason they feel like they can't say.
Well,
so, you know,
if they
They also have
fucking
Tyler and those other guys sitting there when they're doing those, if it's a live or record or whatever interview, they're sitting there in the wings watching to kind of give them notes. I mean, that's their job though. You know, Tyler's job is to protect like the company image to the community, as well as protect those devs from saying anything really dumb and losing their job over saying something bad to the community from the perspective of CIG. So that's the whole thing.
I get it. It just sucks.
I get it too. And it is painful to watch something, like you said, go from grassroots to like corporate. But at this stage, I think they have to, in order to get backers and support from people like Amazon and Intel that validates the project and do all this stuff. They don't want to work with a mom and pop. Yeah.
From scrubs, you know, people that want to just, I want to buy the game and play it. And for that to happen, you need to look presentable, respectable. It can't be, I can't believe I'm going to use this word, white knights and you know, people going on tangents how bad the game is. It needs to, because that's background stuff. It's not what's representing the community as a whole. That's just the fringes of the community. So most of us, even though we're using strong language and we're invested in the game and we want it to succeed, and we're mostly happy with what's going on. Now, some people think it's taking too long, and some people didn't like that this ship turned out this way. But that's where single people lose focus. They lose focus of the whole issue. It doesn't matter if a chip changed in a game that has going to have literally hundreds of ships from you to choose from. So don't worry about one ship changing, and don't get pissed about, you know, everything that happens that isn't logical, because it's a game. There's going to be a lot of logical, you know, fallacies in here. So don't worry about it.
So let's detour off of what I was talking about and merge into what T.O. was saying there about ship changing. Okay. The new flight model is in the works and being tested and all of that stuff. And I was thinking earlier today, is it possible that new flight model breaks ships? Like literally fucks shit up to where there are certain ship designs that just don't work.
Or work the way that players want them to work, that they've used the whole time. And it's that different. That will happen.
What they expect it to happen. Let's say there's a ship now that's really overpowered in terms of the thrusters, the side thrusters, the motion thruster, the forward and backward thruster instead of the main engines. At that, you know, if you expect your ship to work like a Scion thruster only ship, you know, side thruster only ship, you're going to be sorely disappointed with 3.5 hits.
It's going to definitely affect the Hornet, I think, an awful lot, which the Super Hornet is a pretty popular ship because that relied on lateral strafe, vertical strafe a lot.
But that ship is going to have stronger strafe in one direction and less in the other due to the way the nozzles are. That's already been confirmed. While another type of ship that's going to be its main competitor is going to have the opposite direction in up, you know, up or sideways, etc. So it's that's going to be coming back to okay, you prefer to lateral strafe, or you prefer vertical strafe, or that's the ship you pick, not the one with the biggest or most amount of weapons. It's going to be what suits your specific game style.
Or inversely adapting your game style to a different type of flying. If you want the weapons, you're going to have to learn to fly, relearn to fly this other ship.
If you're that good of a player, right? If you're that good of a player, or if you let put it another way, you just put enough time in so you can do that.
Yep.
But that's the difference. People now expect, I want to be able to pick the ship that is the best meta, so I can fly that with the best meta weapons at the moment, and that's not going to function in 3.5. There's going to be a ship that's
I think it's overdue though, right? I mean, because like what Chris said, he said they never intended on ships flying like the way they strafe, not the fact that they can strafe, but the fact they have 6 G's of strafing thrust. They never intended it to be like that, where you can fly almost as fast sideways as you can straight forward. They never wanted them to operate that even in space. So everybody's worried about atmospheric combat. Space combat in general is going to be dynamically changed with the turrets tracking improving and all this, and then you can't fly rings around like this all the time around the hammerhead.
When is the last time you used your main thrusters instead of your forward thruster and back thrusters?
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Because suddenly you will have to start using, this thing.
Oh, I'm getting sick.
The throttle control. You have to start using this thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm keyboard mouse, so it'll be using a different key instead of that. I'll use my W key more than
But it will definitely be there.
Did you get the woo?
No, I thought about it, but I'm worried about ruining every other game because it would be awesome in Star System. Other games, I'm like,
you would have to have 2 keyboards, right?
I already have. It'd be a third.
It does. No. It actually, the wood keyboard has a button for it. Remember?
Yeah, to toggle it on and off, so that way you got the analog or you got the That's true. It does. Yeah, I've been thinking about it, but I'm also considering actually getting flight sticks. I was talking to Gentile about that before the show. So
flight stick is.
I use all of it. Actually, there are certain times when it's just more comfortable to use the keyboard and mouse, right? Because you're just kind of chill, And then there are certain times when, especially in combat, where it is much easier for me to maneuver with sticks because it just is. Another option, and I've really been considering this, is just use a left-handed stick for maneuvering and the mouse for aim and fire, because the accuracy you get with the mouse is far greater than what you're going to get from a joystick,
especially for running gimbals, right? Because then you can target where your gimbal's real easy with your mouse and then fly and move with.
So even if that's not true, if your ship is fast enough so you can aim with it, the mouse aiming is going to be 100% better, not 100%, but at least 20% better. In a skilled player, at least 50% better than a joystick. As long as your ship is maneuverable fast enough, you have fixed weapons, you're deadly, because first of all, you have one size bigger weapons. Second of all, you don't have to worry about moving the ship and moving the gun, so you have less to worry about.
I've always liked fixed weapons better, and with keyboard mouse even. It's just, I liked it because if you fly like a Buccaneer or a very light maneuverable ship and you're dodging fire and stuff, I'd rather aim with my nose than like gimbal it out.
Yes.
It's just the way I like to do it.
But that's back to what Junta was saying with having a left-handed stick and a mouse. There's now a mouse out on the market or coming. It at least is out in the hands of the testers, where and we're not talking about the Mouse Z. We talk about another mouse where you have, first of all, you have an analog stick on the side. But
I got one back here. It's the Lexi IP.
Yeah, so you can also tilt it while you're using it as a mouse. You can tilt it, and it's
my brain doesn't operate in 6 degrees like
you
that.
Can use you can use 2 joysticks, Junto. You can use that. But the reason for this, the reason I'm saying, because I've actually tested this, and the only thing I'm missing when I'm aiming with a mouse and Mitauchi, you probably can attach to this, is that you cannot turn fast enough. Once, you have to keep doing this with the mouse.
Yeah.
But you want that fine tuning when you're on target. But once you're chasing, you need the ability to just do this to catch up, right?
Yeah.
And this to catch up, etc.
I tell you, one of the ways I compensate with my mouse, because I use a Logitech G502 mouse, and it has the extra thumb buttons. It has I can increase or decrease my DPI, which I use a lot in FPS aspects, right? Where you can you're really twitchy, like I can move a half inch and spin all the way around, or I can do whatever. It has a trigger thumb button on it, and on the thumb button right in the main pad, it is only goes high DPI or whatever DPI setting you have when you depress it. So the beautiful thing about that is for turret gameplay, I don't want to have to tab up to 12,000 DPI every time I want to be in a turret, and then tab down to like 600 or 800 wherever you operate at.
Yeah, that you can set in a profile that is suitable for that.
I have the trigger. Whenever I hold it, I have 12,000 DPI. And so I can just literally spin that turret as fast as that mechanic will allow me to move it when I'm on the hammerhead. Or if I let go of it, I'm at regular. I can do finite control. So I like that a lot. And that's on those G series Logitech mice are really, really nice for that. And they're only $39. Yep.
G series, a little bit
That's
more.
a 700, isn't it?
Yep, 700S.
Yep, that was one of my favorite ones. And they stopped making those, and then now I get the G502 because it's got the shifter on the wheel.
Original 700.
Yep, I got one of those, and here, it's one right there. But the best thing that Logitech still owns the patent on is that shifter, where you can do line by line or free spin. No other mouse has a patent on it, so only Logitech can do that.
Crazy. It's the best thing, and you know where that works really well? In menus in games.
Yep.
It's
also
just
for walking.
Good.
It works good, so I can like finite control my movement up or down when you're moving and walking around places. You want to pretend you're an NPC on a planet? Roll that thing down all the way where you're just walking around, get the same garb on as every other NPC, and people just walk right by you like, I don't know. So, you can do it. It works. You sit on the bench.
It's like an analog stick, because when you use the mouse, it clicks and it skips. It skips a lot of, but when you on the roll, it's really what do you say? It has a lot of. It's really sensitive. It has a lot of DPI on the roll as well. So you get the really smooth action where you go up from really slow and upwards. So I really like it. It's really enjoyable.
Yep, it's good. Good stuff.
More shit for me to buy.
Always. Never.
But I think if we want to, that's a good suggestion. Either turn up the DPI with a fast button. You can also do that with have a profile where you just click
Absolutely.
where you click up or down. You have one button for lower DPI and one button for high DPI.
You need 100. The highest DPI your mouse will afford you, whatever mouse you use. When you use the turrets on the hammerhead or anything, it'll make a world difference because you can spin so much faster if you're trying to move and keep up. Because the mechanics try to pull you down, and they do still because that's the way the ship's designed. But nobody wants to pick up their mouse and do this crap to try to go target somebody.
Once you get on target, you can switch down the DPI.
And all I do is and the great thing on the 502 is you just let go of that thumb button and you're still using it. So it's fast movement, let go and you don't. So it's on and off. I love that. Really good. Works in any of the turret ships.
So it's either that or get the mouse that has both. It enables to use the mouse at the same time as you use the tilt. It's a built-in tilt because it has a base.
I couldn't get used to the tilt. To be honest with you, I used it and that was the thing. The stick wasn't bad. The little analog stick wasn't bad. The tilt, because it's like I always had to do this, pushing down or forward or sideways, and it was good for the side correction, like you were talking about. But the forward tilt and the nose back, that bothered me a little bit in comfort level with my arm, because most of us have these gaming chairs. We lock our elbows on those pads. And so when you're doing this, then you want to talk about getting carpal tunnel, do this all day.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, that was the only problem I had with it. Side to side, not bad. Front to back. And it's just minor. It's probably only maybe 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch of play that you use that for. But that was the lack of comfort for me. Was just that back and forth like this.
It's actually, if you put one of those soft pillows underneath here, you have a higher placement on the mouse. You can have your hand a little bit forward, and you just do the wrist instead.
Yeah.
But you have to have
but when you're
placement.
talking about twitchy players, they can't have that because they got to move their hand right and left
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, yes, but that's it's a bar. It's not like this.
I know what you're talking about.
It's like this. So
But you get rug
can
burn
really
on
have-
your wrist from sliding your fucking
shut
hand back and forth. on
Now,
that.
now we're into.
We're sensitive
Now,
gamers,
or we go
Now we're into
1980s and on
snowflake
just
country.
sweatbands. If you just double up the sweatbands on your wrists, and just wear them, you can just have full
Right?
sweatbands like the, right around
You get the whole James Hetfield
Like a
thing
mobile
going on.
pads. It's a new thing. It'll say Corsair across the back of it or Logitech and get
More
branded.
branding. Woo.
Yeah, perfect.
What you should do is get a mouse mat that has a really high magnetic field in one end, and then you put another magnet here, and you just float on air back and forth.
Oh, there you go. I mean,
You should fucking market that, patent it, make it, market it. That'd probably be killer.
do it.
All right. So there was one other thing from the discussion yesterday on the captain's table that I didn't get a good resolution out of. So I would like to kind of present it to you guys as well.
Okay.
Is the tie between, if you follow some of the YouTube channels, there's some of these guys that want to be, Eve players. They really want Eve in Star Citizen. They want the player controlled economy.
Yeah.
They want to be able to like lock out systems and all this kind of gameplay, right? And I get it, right? Because that
was one of the two most annoying aspects of the talk yesterday, because for being such a big knowledgeable crowd about Star Citizen, it was so flawed with errors.
Well,
and, people that's supposed to be knowing a lot of no bullshit, no jack shit.
Here's my thought on this, right? Is like Warwolf said, I'm not necessarily against it, but I am. So could there be a middle ground like we were talking about yesterday? Is all space going to be controlled by a faction, or is there going to be space that is not controlled by a faction? Could there be space not controlled by a faction that doesn't really enforce economic policy so that they could create true
Define
space? A system.
Define space first.
Like a different
that's a Blankman statement. The system is fucking huge. You couldn't control that with, UEE can hardly control a system with all its might. So they can't even control the system of Earth. They don't control the whole system. You have dark pockets. You will have every dark pockets in every system that isn't controlled. So you control trade lanes, you control planets, you control major resource area around the asteroid fields, etc. And you control jump points, you control local, you have sporadic, what do you call it, patrols in areas of where people jump into the system.
I understand what you're saying, right? But here's
in
the
between all of that, there's dark spots. So could you control a dark spot? Yes. That's possible.
The idea that the backers have off of what has been explained so far is that, let's say a large org Explorer, let's just use Explorer because they're pretty big, right? They go into a system and they start exerting too much control. And the system, subsumption, automatically responds to that because they're disrupting the economic simulation. Right? That was the idea. NPCs will go in, either if you're a pirate org, you might get harassed by some sort of a police force.
And Explorer will either have to back down or escalate, right?
Right. Now the question would be is, could they have systems where that part of subsumption just doesn't exist? And it is truly player driven. No. Why not? What do you mean?
Technically, yes, they can.
This isn't Norway.
Remember,
there's no.
Technically, yes, they can. But will they? I doubt it. Because either a system works everywhere or it doesn't. So let's say that you are in a system that has no value. It has no NPCs going back and forth other than, let's say they're using it as a transit system.
Mm-hmm.
Let's assume that there's this task, and you want to be there because you want to tax people going back and forth, and you want to tax the NPCs, you want to tax players, etc. You with me so far? That's a really good place where you can stay the longest without intervention. But you still get an intervention, because either there's going to be they don't want to pay, you kill them. They pay, they go further on, they report you, and when enough reports are placed, more security comes along with the ships, more patrols from UAE or the local governments. Remember, there are local factions in
That is the
in
exact point that I'm making.
Mhm.
Why would it be so complicated for anybody to wrap their head around the fact that there could possibly be systems where there are no local factions?
No,
Period. There just don't exist. CIG literally designs it so that it is not the case. What say you, Mr. Mitauchi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say,
but then
the problem is we're dealing with all known space, right? So there's always going to be local factions, but not necessarily of humans. You're going to have alien areas, you're going to have all sorts of stuff, but there's lawless areas, and there's also pirates and stuff. The thing is, I like the way they talked about it with Tony Z and stuff about like law bubbles, right? Like areas of control and influence. So you're going to have dark areas, but I don't even believe if it's a true UE system that you'll ever be able to control, like have a base and all this stuff, because they're going to send patrols, because it's a matter of response time, right? Even though it's a blacked out area, if somebody would report you or something in a UEE system, you might be able to get away with it and not get criminality. But if a patrol happens upon you when you're doing something dirty or something else happens, then you'll get caught. But I think there'll be dark systems that still have NPCs, still have rings of influence, but it's going to be rings of influence by pirates or by NPC aliens and stuff that don't own or control anything there. And you're going to be able to set up bases without under UEE protection. Right?
But that's going to be pirate faction control. You have to remember, there will be a law system, but it will be controlled by the faction that's in control, and
You're
that faction might be a
100%
pirate.
certain that every aspect of Star Citizen space will be controlled by some sort of faction.
I said there will be dark spots.
No, I think it's two
Dark
different
spots.
systems you're talking about, though, even though they tie together, because the economic system is different than what the area of physical space control is, right? Because the economic system is still always going to be controlled by NPCs, and the way it's going to be controlled by NPCs is if you make 40 trillion UEC, there's always going to be a NPC that they have making 60 or 80 trillion UEC. And so they're not going to allow market control to players because they don't want to do what Eve did. And I'm a long time Eve Online player. And even Eve Online, to use as an example, their areas of control are controlled inherently by some faction. But the 0-0 space still has pirates in it. And those pirates in 0-0 space in EVE Online spawn, and they attack stuff and they do stuff, but they don't physically control ownership of the space, and that's why you can take areas of that space. But those NPCs still spawn, and you still farm them, and you still do ops against them and things like that. So I think it'll be more like that metric. So there'll be things there that'll spawn and still mess with you. You might control that base, but you're not going to be immune to anything except other players. I think Vanduul could invade those areas if you're by Vanduul space. I think pirate NPCs will come and jack with your crap. It just won't be the UEE that will.
That's you have to remember how it works. So you will have exploratory ships from any faction that is under the UEE wing, then or neutral faction, and then you will have lawless faction. But let's stick with the neutral ones for now. They will send out exploratory ships. They will send out mining ships. They will send out patrols with those, or to patrol the area where this exploratory and mining and trade is going on. That's the economic bubble, and that economic bubble extends anywhere an NPC goes. If that NPC, if somebody goes somewhere and doesn't come back, eventually they're going to send out more to investigate. If they come back and report something, right? If enough happen, that's what I mean. If enough people get harassed, so if you harass once a month and nobody else does anything, you're not going to get a ton of UEE ship coming looking for you. But if you do that to 100 ship a day, you will get attention drawn to you. And that's the thing. The same thing is going to be, let's say the pirate faction, you attack a pirate faction in lawless space, but they're actually going out to do the same thing as you do. They're just attacking the EU ships, the exploratory ships, the trade ships, and other faction, of course. But once you kill enough pirate faction ships, that pirate faction is going to come investigating who the fuck are you and what can we do about you.
Yeah.
So it's bubble upon bubble upon bubble. Yes, there is dead zones, dead space. But as soon as the economic bubbles, as you talked about, the economic space warps into that, it's no longer a dead space.
Yeah.
If you intervene with something in that bubble by controlling it, you're bringing attention to it.
Yeah, if a lot of things die there, there's going to be not only NPCs, I would assume, because there has to be lines of communication even in systems that aren't UEE occupied, right? That's how the data system, the data running system works. If a lot of stuff dies by a jump point going into even a lawless area or anything like that, I would imagine there's ways for even players to find that out. So players, you might have a gate camp, or you might have a blockade you're putting up in order to institute, like you talked about, tariffs
there's only you can only gate camp at the entry point to the gate. You can't gate camp at the exit point, and that's brilliant, because UEE will all. If UEE is in a transit system and they don't care about any part in that system, they're going to be at the jump point area. So if you try to control a jump point, entry to a jump point, you're going to get so much attention from UEE faster than your head can say what happened.
Yep. But you can still blockade above a city, and there's ways to do this, because we were doing it actually over at Lorville. And you can still fly around that, right? You can fly through Atmo and go miles and miles that way. But most people who would jump to Lorville have to jump into that same, several 100-kilometer area. And they'll be on scan. And we were able to get there. And if you detect ships trying to come out of atmosphere and escape, you can go down, and they can't jump. They're still coming through 100 kilometers of atmosphere. And you can shoot those ships down. So you can make economic blockades. It might not be full encompassing an entire planet, but you can cause all kinds of issues.
How long can it last?
As long until the UE starts to come in there,
or the local faction.
Or the local faction comes up. But you can still influence it, is what I'm saying. I mean, you can still get in there and have some fun and influence it.
There we agree. So you can try to claim space, and I agree with that. You can try to claim something. The second you claim too much, or try to influence too much, the kickback's going to come back. So
yeah,
and I think that's how it should be. That's how the dynamic works in the real world. Doesn't matter if it's really in the desert somewhere. If enough people start disappearing and not coming back, they're not going to stop sending people. They're just going to send more exploratory, more heavily armed guards.
I look at the system, and it's funny because, I'll actually compare the system of stacking things against you when you do something bad more to Red Dead 2. In Red Dead 2, the Western game, if you go and create enough bad things happening, if you rob people, if you go through town shooting up, you rob the bank, you get a bounty on you, right? From in that, and they'll start sending bounty hunters after you. And you can thwart the bounty hunters, but then they'll send more. And then they'll sell lawmen. And then all of a sudden you got 20, 40, 50, and then the cavalry comes after you. So you get the whole GTA effect of eventually you cannot stop the amount of crap coming at you. There's no way you're going to be able to. I hope they go with that system as opposed to what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to do it where it's going to be more like Eve, where in Eve they send Concord after you. And one shuttle from a Concord AI will blow up a carrier inside EVE Online. So it's they can send anything. I hope they don't just drop some magical UE bangles on you and you just die. I hope if you can actually fight off one, it'll give you a window to try to get away. But then they're going to send more if you just sit there. So they're not going to let you persist forever, but they'll stack enough military against you to where it could break you.
I think the way they're doing the system is going to be based on economics, right? Where first you intervene with, let's say, cargo ships, and then more guards are hired with the cargo ships, and you keep intervening and killing off those cargo ships. More bigger patrols are sent out to be in the area, and then At some point, you're going to be detected. They know it's you who are doing it. You and your org is doing it, and then you and your org is going to have the bounty on you, and that bounty is going to be massive based on the amount of damage you've done.
Yep,
and
that'd be great. And I hope to put out player contracts.
Well, both NPCs. You're going to have both NPCs.
Do you remember in Korea? Do you remember in Korea before we had an AI and all this stuff, where if you went and hacked the terminal, it created a player mission for somebody to go stop that hack. That was the whole PvP thing. It created one, and you can accept that. They need to make sure those things come back. If somebody's in there doing something to keep the emergent gameplay on top of NPC intervention, right? Because I would love it if you sent UE or you sent militia or whatever to go stop a blockade, but then you have players that could jump in too. So you have blues, like friendly NPCs working with players, and maybe you're on a blockade and the local pirate faction pulls up and they're like, hey, we could
about that.
Yeah, you're taking some of our money, or we could join you and you give us 10%. And the NPCs could join up with you on the blockade. So there'd be like, you could do all sorts of dynamics and make that whole
Tony C mentioned that
system more immersive for everybody.
Tony C mentioned that, and he said that we will create a mission. It's up to humans whether they take those missions, but if human doesn't take them, NPC will.
Yeah.
And you might have NPCs and human competing on getting the mission done at the same time.
I want to see NPCs and humans working together, though. Imagine if you come upon a ship that's been, destroyed mostly, and you go rescue the crew. Maybe the crew has an option of joining you. Maybe you find some elite crew member on this that's held this ship together, and I have the option of hiring that guy for my crew. That would be badass. Stuff like that would be really cool in the game, because it's even more immersive. I want Star Citizen to blur the lines of these are NPCs operating this way and these are players operating this way. I want it to be like you can mold and actually care about these NPCs to a certain aspect where I'm going to get this one gunner. Man, I remember Joe. I found him on the wreck of the Starfarer. He held it together and saved 3 people, and we rescued him, and Joe joined our crew, and he's been flying with us forever. So now I'm in this battle, and do I have all the crew hit the escape pods, including NPCs, or do I order the crew to try to hang on with me and risk the fact I'll lose all these epic level NPCs that I didn't have to train, right? Because they sat there and they've done all this stuff with me, so they have a history. I was like, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. And that's where Star Citizen should go with that assumption in AI.
Well, that's where, as long as they're attached to you, you're paying them, you can still hire them and rehire them and pay them again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A skilled NPC will always live on in the system as a skilled NPC with the particulars of skills you've given them.
But I want them to be able to die, and then I have to retrain a guy. I want them to lose access to an NPC. You know what I mean? I want them to matter.
I thought that was understood between the lines, that if NPC dies, it dies. It has no perpetuity.
But I've heard people complaining, and they're trying to get around this through the manner of, like say you have 5 accounts and you make an NPC be one of your other accounts and all that stuff, right? And then you have to roll him over as a character, but he'd still... I'm like, do they maintain those skills? Do they lose those skills? And that's been a debate between people.
I doubt.
They'd have to go to 0, right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
not 0, but some sort of base level. You might be good at something and not so good at something else, but not expert. You have to train up to expert.
I want them to go to 0. So, I want them to start all over from scratch. That way it matters. People aren't just flogging that.
Nobody is at 0. It has to start at something useful, right?
I mean, you maintain your assets and stuff as a player character, but I'm saying if you're using your player character as an NPC and you're grinding up his levels and you want to just use him as a toss away, I want him to go back to 0 if you decide.
But that character is eventually going to die in the game.
But he would just roll over his name, because they're trying to blur the lines between your account saving
that's
an
NPC. That's not NPC. That's not CIG doing. That's players doing.
I know. That's why CIG should just take it out.
Should we go to break and then do questions?
Sounds good.
Warwolf has been asking a lot, I see. Well, we'll go there after this break. Be right back.
In the whim, both that have accounts and don't have accounts.
I just looked at the screen. I saw it said it was who's basically raining bitches, and I've never heard this song, so I'll have to look that up later. Apparently, it's probably epic. I mean, I don't know. It sounds like something I'd be into. I don't.
It was raining bitches, but
it said raining bitches.
It said that, but that's a jingle that we used.
Lol.
I haven't heard of it. I didn't know.
If it's raining bitches, it's
I wasn't
time
listening
to
to that. I was listening to that. So right down, raining bitches. Good.
The only thing else before we go into questions, I would continue that conversation a little bit with something again that we were talking about yesterday that I thought was very interesting. Is we're doing quarterly releases with wipes at every release for a reason, right? And then once the game mechanics are solidified, let's say, how long is 3 months enough time of a non-wipe scenario to gauge whether the economy works, whether there's huge exploits that need to be corrected, or would the wipes potentially be extended to a 6-month period?
I think that whenever they go through a beta phase, that would be when you'd prolong those wipes. It wouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like it can't go to beta till it's feature complete.
Yes.
They could, but God, I hope they don't. Because feature complete and the definition of beta in my mind, and given it's an aging mind at this point in my life, but in my mind, I'm old school, and you don't do a beta until you have at least one example of every feature. That doesn't mean every solar system. That doesn't mean everything. You have to have every type of gameplay profession that you want to have in launch. Doesn't mean they can't add stuff later. But at launch state, they want to have all their goals met as far as one jump point, multiple solar systems in. These type of mechanics, you want to have an example of bounty hunting, of cargo running, of what you want that final form to be in the game. If you don't have those and you're at tier 2, or don't worry, it's going to be better on the mechanic wise on those main core features, you're not ready for beta. You know, and I know people are already talking about beta into next year, the year after, and I'm like, I just don't see that. I don't see that ready to happen. Until you have that, you can't go to beta. And once you go to beta, I think you have to go beyond the quarterly resets. You have to give it 6 months. You have to give it these things to see what that economic cycle is going to be like. The problem with that, by the time we get to beta and you let it go that long, people are going to get really attached to what they have, or they're unmotivated to make that much money to do anything because they know it's going to stop.
If you buy a hammerhead for in-game credits,
21 million, whatever it is right now,
and then it gets wiped, it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt. Like, unless you're a content creator like we are, where we grind them just to show you, and then it hurts anyway, because we grab whiskey bottles to make 2 million UEC before in Korea for no other reason. We knew it was going away, but it's like, can I do the goal? Yeah, for a regular player, that sucks. It just sucks. I mean, who wants to make 21 mil and then watch it go out the window?
Yeah, and I think that's. I don't think we're going to see large. I don't think we're going to see 6 months of gameplay at all. I think they're going to stick to 3 months until they're soft launching. And they're going to say, we're wiping the next round as well. We're wiping the next round. We're considering not wiping the next round. Just, stay tuned. So
it's kind of funny actually, because I've been used to when you're in games and multiplayer games. In some games, you just get used to losing everything, and that's just how it is. Say, for instance, stuff like these simple games like whatever, like Space Engineers or Minecraft, for that matter. Mm-hmm. You build everything you have, and then some dickbag comes by and shoots a missile or rocket, or it blows it up, and it happens. It's not that's the thing about those games. Yeah. And it's the same with DayZ. Like you and I should probably tell people to go play that, because someone just shoots you in the face and you lose everything that you've done for the past couple of days.
We didn't buy those things with cash, and the problem is we have no people that came in this game for $45. Yeah, but that's what people always do. They're going to attach their wallet to the idea of like losing all this stuff, and that's why we have a problem getting past the idea of like looking at a shipping game that's 21 million. If none of us had spent $1 on a spaceship or a pledge package or anything inside this game, at 21 million, it wouldn't seem like a big deal. But to us, that looks like, wow, 21 million UEC. How many dollars would I have to spend to get that? That's the first comparison everybody here draws, because that's what we're used to. give Star Citizen after it comes out fully 2 to 3 years of new players coming in that never spent the pledge money and all that, right? That 21 million won't mean shit. It'll be like, oh, well, it's 21 mil or it's 100,000 mil. You know, I have to work for it to get it. All of us as backers of the game look at everything in dollars, whether we want to or not. And that's why we like, wow, that's an incredible increase on how much money you'd want from me to pledge for that
those
ship.
charts online about the what the exponent of the increase was per ship, you know, and they're like, oh, this is actually like 60 times more.
And it has to be.
By it.
How is the economy in this game going to work if we compare our wallets to everything in the game? Nobody should be able to afford reasonably as an individual to buy an Idris once the game's live.
I agree.
Nobody should be. It should be an org of bunch of people working together. Because if it's just swipe your credit card and that's it, then it's not going to mean anything. Everybody's going to have an Idris in 6 months because they'll grind.
The argument becomes valid at that point.
And that's the problem right now. We're looking at through our tainted glasses of our wallets. In the future, I don't even think 21 million's high enough for what a hammerhead should be in the game, relatively, if you're grinding inside the game right now.
Well, and that's why they said they're arbitrary numbers that they just pulled out of their ass right now. And just like the mission payments are kind of arbitrary numbers, so they're going to sit back at some point and analyze, okay, if this mission literally is going to take you 37 minutes, what should your hourly in-game UEC return be?
Right.
And how many hours should it take you of gameplay to get from the Aurora to the Avenger, and then again from the Avenger to the Freelancer, and then from the Freelancer to the Hammerhead?
It depends on your reputation level, right? So if you've been playing the game for 6 months and build up an incredible rep with certain entities, you should be able to get better missions, better stats, better things from those NPCs you have the rep with than me if I started yesterday, because you've worked for it in game to build that rep. We always look at it from a day zero, like I have no rep. How many missions do I have to run at 1,000 UEC to do it? Well, there should be missions for Gentile if he's been playing 6 months longer and he's been grinding rep all this time with a certain organization or entity where he's getting 10,000 UEC missions, not just 1,500 UEC missions. He should be getting high-end missions that are riskier for a more developed player that has more economic standing than somebody that just started yesterday.
Or is he doing a Hull E or Hull D?
Correct, right?
Support ships, and it's 150,000.
And how do you scale that from our perspective, though, right now? Because our perspective is like, okay, this guy has nothing doing that. Well, if you have a Gentile in there and you buff it up so the guy who started day one can get a Freelancer in 4 days, Gentile can get probably 3 a day hauling a Hull E, making that bank because he has that higher rep, higher payouts, all that stuff.
I think we can put a number on it.
Yeah.
Not the number, but a number. And that number, which is an X, is the cost of any cap ship should be measured against how many rounds of a Hull C, Hull D, or Hull E, fully loaded, average priced, average incomes, cargo do I have to do before I can buy a cap ship. Not a single-seater ship, not a 2-seater or a 3-seater, but a proper multi-crew. And you start with the smallest of the viable hulls, and that's a Hull C. And then you have a Hull D and a Hull E. How many trips do you have to do? And you start with, how many trips of a Hull C do I have to do before I reach a trip of Hull D? How many Hull D trips have to do to reach a trip of a Hull E? And how many Hull E trips do I have to do with cargo runs back and forth before I can afford the lowest priced cap ship, and then the next tier cap ship, etc.
But on top of that, you have to also, I still think that should be very broad, because whereas they might pay you 1 EUEC per SCU for somebody who has no rep, maybe Gentile would be getting like 10 UEC per SCU because he has an amazing rep with them. You know what I mean? So I think that's going to impact your trade.
You're buying yourself the cargo and selling it yourself. You know, you're basically trading. You buy low, sell high, and It's sometimes you buy medium and go, and the price has changed by the time you get there. So you store it, and then you have an NPC on ready to sell there because it's your main trading hub, and you sell it when the price is changed, because price is going to, according to Tony Z, be fluctuating all the time.
Yeah.
So
God,
that,
I
this
hope
is
you can't
this
do
is
that. If you can have an
that's-
NPC sit there selling crap for you, I think that's a little bit.
And that's, you have a character that you can log on to. You will have to have multiple accounts to be efficient, right? As a
Yeah.
trader, you have to have several hubs where you have to have a account stuck there. And if you want to be an efficient trader, you will not have one account. Ask Trade Mogul. Ask anybody that says trade is my
Or
game.
you'll rely
They
on
have
third-party
many,
apps
many.
like what Texas makes for players to input data, right? And then kind of give you a guideline
Yeah,
of
but
what's
how
trade for
can
what.
you travel there to sell it? That's the point.
You're going to have to travel
takes
there to
time.
sell it.
Or log on to another account on your second
That's
PC.
not, if the goods aren't there, they aren't going to let you just flip and script like that, like what we do.
No, but you've already stored them. That's what I mean. You store them to sell them at the highest price when you can. You can
In
rent
theory,
space.
that should be a gameplay mechanic, because they have addressed that in the past. That
Unless
you
they
could
charge you storage fees for that
theoretically-
much.
Right. Well,
Well,
you
they
could
will.
theoretically be able to hoard Laranite until
Yeah.
Laranite gets to a certain value that you
Very
feel
true.
your return is. So, but like you said, Mitauchi, it's going to be an interesting game at that point, because how much is storage?
Yep.
How long is storage?
Is your storage fee affected by your rep with the station and the owners of it? I mean,
Or
we
is
don't
it
know.
in the right
Can you store it in
area?
or can you store it in your own hangar? Which they already stated that we're not
Your
sure.
own hangar at one location doesn't cost you money, but at other locations will.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's more to it. So
Yeah.
before we go into questions, here's one question really quick. Like, how many hours of gameplay would we like to see for someone to be able to upgrade to a larger ship? And I don't mean an Idris larger ship, but I'm maybe thinking
From what to what?
from like,
Make
if you
it
start with an Aurora to get to a Constellation, how many hours is a comfortable span if you're an individual player? Are we talking 30 hours, 40 hours?
So the average player played 22 hours per week.
Yes.
And if we take away 2 hours so they can play other MMOs as well, 20 hours per week. How many weeks of 20 hour per week should you do before you can afford a Constellation?
Binder
and,
over says months.
And that's just a ship, not to upgrade the weapons, not to
Right.
upgrade the
If-
components,
Just a bit.
just a ship.
If you were saying an Avenger, I would want them to upgrade to something smaller, still single player, but them feel like they reasonably went from Aurora to like something that'll hold cargo, say like a Titan. Something like that, I would be comfortable with them doing in a like 12 to 24 hour window. Because some people will grind for this
If you're
crap.
efficient.
If they're efficient, if they're grindy or where that takes them 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever, if they're doing only 22 hours a week, whatever. It already, I would go in the books of saying, I even though people say the average time's like 22 hours per week, I would honestly believe that most Star Citizens are harder core than that, especially off the jump launch, and they'll blow through that easy. Ben Lesnick himself said back when that to upgrade to another ship out of your starter won't take more than 8 to 10 hours. So
that's to upgrade the next level within.
to a
that's still,
Constellation, I would say if you're doing it by yourself, I would say yes, at least a month. Because you got to consider, these aren't ships you lose. These are ships when you have them perpetually as long as you're paying insurance forever. So they
Or
have to be
you
higher
sell
attainable
them-
goals.
Sell them to be able to, or trade them in to be able to buy the next ship.
Yes, or you
Yeah,
can
that's a
rent
way-
them though. If you want something
Yep.
immediate satisfaction, just rent it. That rental takes so much pressure off of, hey, I have to get a Connie, it should take a month or two to me.
You rent it with insurance.
Because you could rent it with insurance and rent it until you can afford to buy it outright. So that prevents the whole bar of entry. People can get access to the ship, and they're just like me.
Well,
if I go
then
out,
it's not 1 hour. It's not the first hour. You have to earn enough money to actually pay the rent up front. Or at least
Yeah.
part of the rent. Up front.
absolutely.
So, and probably a minimum starting fee, and then a day, X amount of days or
Yeah.
in-game days.
If
you
I
know
want to
what I
go dig a
And-
hole in my backyard,
Mhm.
I can go rent a Bobcat, right? but it's exceptionally more expensive for me to go buy that Bobcat. And if I need to dig my neighbor's yard and do a bunch of others or get a mini excavator or something like that, I would have to do a lot of work before that would financially make sense for me to go buy one. And that's the way I want Star Citizen to be. If I need to rent something for a job, awesome, dude. I'll rent that one off. We're good for, the 7 days, wherever it happens, and you're good. If you want to buy it outright, it needs to be a very lofty goal. With them adding rental in, it needs to be meaningful. Otherwise, people will collect all the ships within the first year of gameplay, either through helping each other out or whatever, and then there won't be anything to work for.
It's going to be a Constellation Taurus. Cheapest to rent, cheapest to buy. Whether, it's your goal or not. If Taurus isn't your goal, you might rent the Taurus. Let's say the Phoenix or the Andromeda is your goal. If Connie is your goal, but you would then spend time with one or two of your friends, or at least a few NPCs in a Taurus, in a 3-seater, and you'd be doing safe missions, or safer. There's no safe missions, but safer.
And there has to be an advantage to buying it outright, because at some point financially, it might make sense to perpetually rent a ship and never own it. Why would you own it? If the rental fee is cheap enough, why would I spend the money to do that? I'd rather rack up those profits.
Oh, that's where you might not be able to upgrade a rental ship.
Maybe not. I don't know. Those are the things that have to be defined out, though, eventually. You know what I mean?
Because it's not only because they say, no, you can't do it because we don't allow you to touch, we don't allow you to upgrade the engine on our.
You mean I can't put spinners on my rental car? What are you talking about? Like, I want to go put some nice rims and stuff, get it tinted out, and bring it back to the shop.
Yeah, X amount of horsepower upgrade and all that stuff, So
or maybe there's certain factions or certain missions they won't trust you to do a job in a rental, right? A rental ship. Yeah. Maybe it's like you have to own it outright, just like some trucking companies. If you own your own rig, unless it's insured properly or with a certain trucking line, they're going to hire independent contractors. They want you to be, underwritten by somebody, so that way they know their load's safe.
Or inversely, maybe you have a high enough faction with a certain organization that they loan you the ship to do a mission.
Absolutely. And that'd be a good gateway to convince people where they want to get a ship or not. It's like, you don't have to rent this, we'll give you. Or it could be a shady group. Yeah, we got this Connie, we need to take it over there. Well, why does it say, like UE Enterprises on the side? I don't understand. Hey, don't worry about that. Just get it where it's going, and you can keep the ship going. So there will be all stuff, man.
Let's go with questions then.
Okay.
It's a couple long. Jesus, my screen was really too far away. Thinking about pull my Discord.
That's why you get these fancy computer magnification glasses with the yellow tint.
They're not here. Zeus Anoxia, the very famous #1 Star Citizen influencer Torque 17 wants to see the future quarterly patches to be one patch with heavy content added, followed by one patch that fixes and optimizes, similar to iNet TikTok releases. I don't know what that is. What is the roundtable's opinion on this?
It's what they do now.
Content fix. Well, not necessarily.
This cycle here.
Well, they do a content release quarterly, right? And then immediately after, they do fix patches right afterwards. That's what they're doing now. That's what 3.35 or 3.36 technically is.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of bad idea.
I think he's hinting at he wants content patch, and then the next patch it should be fixing so we can have better gameplay.
Yeah, but then no one will play the content patch right after and then wait for the fix patch. It's kind of a...
And what's the duration and how much content are we talking about? Because right now, realistically, theoretically, we're not getting content patches. We're getting tech patches, right? Hurston is a technological breakthrough for CIG, right? Okay, a ship might be considered content, but we're not getting that many new ships compared to, okay, we got a city on a planet with new moons. That's tech.
That guns you down every time you try to run through it because you're a criminal.
God damn, I hate those.
Don't be a criminal.
Security. Well, it doesn't even show you got a crime stat. And you land in
I
the
know,
pad
and
and they
people are
just
like,
gun
well,
you
don't
down.
worry, it resets whenever you get shot. Bullshit.
Bullshit.
I got gunned down 3 times in the
Fucking
same
A.
session. Like, that's
They're
not
just
true.
brutal there. They're just Hurston's brutal. Anyways, I don't mind the way that they approach the quarterly patch release mindset because the content drought we had for the 3.0 was bad and nobody was playing.
2017, yeah.
Nobody played. You know?
Nobody watched either.
Right. So now if we get a little bit of new shit every 3 months and then they come around in the next couple weeks and fix it up so it's relatively stable and functions, that's a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
I think. And the only caveat to that is what they always say. Whatever's in the roadmap is subject to change because it might not be ready by the date. So things are going to consistently shift. And I know that's brutal shit because you're like, oh, in March, we're going to get blah, blah, blah. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then in March, you don't get it. So,
But
that's
at least we have some goal markers instead of perpetually not knowing that you're getting anything for, any amount of time. 2017, the biggest reason it was a content drop wasn't only like, hey, they had technical hurdles, because even if they had quarter releases then, it would have been the same, right? They wouldn't have had the stuff done to put in those quarterly releases. But at least we would have had dates to know you're going to get something around this time. It might not be what you wanted or look forward to, but there's something to look forward to in general.
Okay. So we talked about this off air during the music break, but Folo Stan's comment ties directly into the same conversation we had while we were on the music break. Such a cadence of patches would mean perpetual development, never to release, and CIG seems to want some kind of release. Now, we were speaking directly about this off air, and we seem to be of the consensus that there will never, ever not be development as long as there's money, right? And release, what does that mean? Where are the benchmarks for that? I know Chris went through the 12 pillars and stuff, but like Mitauchi was saying, in order to consider anything even beta or a release, you have to have functioning mechanics for all of your gameplay loops. Period. They
Your
all
features
have
to be there.
They have to be there. So, and after that, do you not think they're going to refine their features? They're not going to update their UIs,
And add new ones,
develop
new jobs, new gameplay. Sure.
Right. So perpetual development, I think, would be an expectation for all backers to adopt, because if they don't do perpetual development, there will never be 100 star systems to explore. Period. They're not getting them done next year. Anyways. Sorry.
I think we answered this one from Zeus about because you did. Another one from Zeus. In today's Origin HFE panel, Lionel and his guests explain how they want to put ship aesthetics, paint jobs, and such customization in the game. The plan is for you to go on the RSI website, choose and apply your preferences before you buy this ship. On a scale of 1 to 10, how fucking stupid is that?
I would rather have it be an in-game thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Can you change them?
If you meant it like that, then it's kind of stupid. You want to be able to apply it afterwards too. Not necessarily that you can't do it before buying it, but
can you change them after you buy it? Like, say I choose the color of the ship and all that. Is that a possibility? Because most of us, if we choose a skin and a new skin comes out, we might want that other skin. Does that mean I gotta buy a new ship?
Yes, you can change skins. It's going to be
just
one
have
of
to do it through the
selling.
website.
And there will probably be specific colors that you can choose these colors in game. If you want more fancy colors, you have to pay to get those colors.
Now, we've had that discussion before.
Here's what's
microtransactions.
Disco's going to come back, and here's going to be the answer. Well, when we said it was on the website, all we meant was that's for tier 0. Obviously, we're going to have a paint shop in game later on that you could go to and make these modifications yourself. So before you lose all your shit, just reel it back in, and we will allow you to do it this way. They're just trying to get, you to pay the money and then do it through the website. That way they get the, Yeah.
any doubt whatsoever, Idris K. Because
Yep.
the Idris P is no longer valid. And but you were supposed to be able to do that in game, upgrade in game, but now you don't have to. You can pay now to get it done. And that's like it or not, CIG is a company that's going to need to, let's forget about profit. They're going to need to have turnover so they can hire people and rent servers. For that turnover to happen, they have to sell something. What are they going to sell? Well, eventually selling the game packages isn't going to be enough. So what are they going to sell? Trinkets. They're going to sell cash. They're going to sell, eventually, if they have to, according to Best Lesnick when he was on, we will sell ship. We will sell anything to make the company go around, but we'll try and stay away from selling ship after launch. But there will be, you can choose a starter ship, right?
Yep.
So there will be sales, and they will sell anything they can.
I think they'll do really good on their cash sales when they have the economy more locked in, and we know exactly per dollar. Right now, it's $1 for 1,000 UEC. I feel like that will be a state of flux. I would actually like it to almost kind of speculate, right? Like today's $1 of UEC in the economy is worth like 20,000 UEC or something like that. They can always make those adjustments if they want.
Yeah, but that's going to lead to a lot of, that's based on EVE economy. So let's skip that out.
It should be more stable than EVE, because since EVE is player driven, right? Because we made the economy go up and down where we want, and that's why Plex was always the same rate, but it was valued.
All the players, I have control of these markets, but there's 9 NPC like you that says, well, the price is not going to be what you say it's going to be.
They'll depreciate it or inflate it based on where CIG wants the economy to be. So why we get so hung up on ship prices right now, like Gentile said earlier, those are just arbitrary numbers they pulled out of a hat for the moment. They can fluctuate the economy to where maybe that hammerhead goes up to 100 million or it goes down to 15 million, depending on how they want to influence the economy later on.
It can be that during wartime, local area wartime, where the major hubs are being disturbed due to local action, the prices of an Idris will rise.
Yep.
But it won't rise for the insurance. Because it won't affect you. You still have the insurance if you already own one. But if you're going to buy a new one, you might want to wait until that wartime effort, which might last a week or 2 weeks, drops down, so the prices comes down again, because the Idris P's manufacturing rate is going to be dependent on the components being made, and the components depending on the ores being coming in and refined, etc.
Or go to a different area of space to where it might be cheaper, where that war is not as effective in that area. It's like you go to a different area, you can buy the ship cheaper. That's what I hope happens.
Very local area they are produced, and then they are shipped from that production.
More than likely, yeah. That would make sense.
And next is another Zeus and Oxia question. What are your thoughts on how CIG designed Lorville specifically? How the trains work, and how we don't have a road alternative to the trains that we can use our own vehicles on? Because what happens if there's a build of the game in which the trains are borked and unusable? I don't think inner cities were ever designed, or CIG actually will ever design them to be intended to use our own vehicles in, because you want people to drive their own stuff around inside of a city. It's
look at it another way. There might be, let's call Lorville a city.
It's pretty compact, though, considering
pretty city, but it's compact, but it's still it's built like a major city. It's very organized. It's
they're all together.
Buildings are super tight. You don't have any major roads, etc. Let's say that it's not. You go to a different place. It's more open. It's a different company. It's not. You have greens outside, but it's not common for humans to be outside. But you can have wider areas where you have traffic going back and forth, and you have ground vehicles. at that point, you can. You know,
There's a section of the city that's maybe 20 kilometers away, and there's a lot of
or it's
bare
not a
land in
city.
between it.
Yeah.
It's
town.
not that many structure. It's more spread out. So it might be a suburb. There's so many things they can do, and there might be an industrial area where this is the major hub you come and go to in the city, right?
Yeah.
And you can drive inside that major entry point, but you can't really drive further in because there the buildings are taller, closer together. There you have to take the transit system, but you don't never have to go there unless you are going to the head office because everything is out in the suburbs.
Or we haven't had a planet yet that had multiple major cities in it, right? Like maybe it'll have an option where you can take your vehicle to the outside edge, much like Lordville for your own vehicle, or you can take a train system that goes across the entire planet, where it's like you're going to another major city from that city via train, or you can go out like we do at Gate 4 in Lorville, and you can just go out and free drive out there. But when you get to the perimeter of that city, right, you're going to have to get out of your car and then go to their mass transit system.
There will always
inside the
be
city.
I think there will always be an inner city that is not going to be.
And it should be. That's by design.
Of course.
Most cities, even modern day now, real life, would be that way if they had efficient mass transit systems. And they have that capability. That's the way they would design them now. So,
well, if trains are messed up because of a patch, well, that's too bad. Then
if the whole city's messed up because of a patch, then I guess you can't do that city, right?
Breaks all the time.
Part of games. Or if you get gunned down every time you get out of your bed trying to go to the gate to get on the train, guess what? That rules the whole argument broke anyway, so it's like those things happen.
Zeus and Oxia, after the Stanton system is all done and dusted, would you rather future star systems be introduced all at once when they're ready, or would you rather them continue to drop one planet and its moon at a time?
Well, I would think that the next system that they're going to drop, Chris already said, is going to be Pyro, and there's nothing fucking there.
No, well, as long as we're on Alpha, they can drop stuff in part set as much as they want. But I mean, if it's a live version of the game, and we're already like in the persistent universe and the 1.0 or whatever further on, and they're decide to put another system in, and of course they can't just do it planet by planet as they make them, because that would be because
eventually Sol Ed is going to get to the point where they don't have to do planet by planet. Right now you're getting planet by planet first because the landing zone issue, right? Hurston's the test bed. ArcCorp will be next because it is a freaking huge, ridiculous technological hurdle to like cover an entire planet with city grids and then figure out how to make that work. And then Microtech is another type of biome. But once they work all that shit out, it's going to take exponentially less time to actually develop a star system. So they could huddle it and just do a big content drop. Look, you got a whole new system.
That's pretty much what they've been scaling up to anyway, right? Like the whole reason when we first got the PU, we just got the one station, some comm links, right? Porto and some comm links. Then they added a little bit, and then they just had Area 18. And from there, they dropped a whole planet. Instead of just having Area 18 be a separate little deal, they dropped a whole planet now of Hurston with a city. Eventually, they'll scale up where they'll drop a whole solar system. But make no mistake, when they drop the first complete solar system, it's going to be buggy as shit. They're going to figure it out because the scale of all the bugs that could possibly happen in an entire solar system, until they perfect how to deal with that, it's like, hey, nobody go through that jump point to Pyro or whatever, because all of Pyro is like a shit show.
They've already talked about that in multiple times. They will have to always go in and sculpt whatever the system is making. Anywhere from the ground to the planets, they said this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel natural. So they have to go in and do something. But they're not doing it tree by tree. They're doing it forest by forest. They're doing it mountain range by mountain range, not a mountain, but systems of mountains. So it's should I have a river here? Well, there's a valley here.
And areas that have more lore and history behind them are going to be more detailed and more difficult for them to make than areas that are like, hey, this is the desolate moon with this type of biome, you know. Yep. So it depends on what area and what system you're talking about, you know. Like the full first Van Duel system will probably take a long time too, because the amount of detail and everything they're going to put it. It's a whole different biome, different environment, different NPCs, and different way they act there. So it'll be really cool to see.
I think that's going to be something from Squadron 42, so that's going to be very detailed.
And it might come in right after Squadron 42 drops, because they probably already have some of these other systems mostly made at least environmentally or the palette for, because it's meant for Squadron 42. They just don't want to release it to us till they drop the game. So that way they can be your first experience, you know, in the Nebula or in the Spire or anything like that's in Squadron 42. And then boom, you'll get it in the universe somewhere. That'd be cool.
Oh my god, that blue sunsets. Actually,
sunsets.
We have
there's one moon that has it.
There's one moon that has that, and I have a picture of it on my Flickr. I think
and he tagged you on it.
Did I? Yeah, I did.
You mentioned it in Discord, yeah.
But that was Anyway,
I thought he had all the links.
Come the Warwolf questions. The first one, with the in-game universe expanding, transit times increasing in quantum and atmosphere, with more missions, these lengthy travel times, shouldn't CIG focus on getting the base in-game over Idris development?
No, because the Idris is for Squadron 42, and Squadron 42 is critically more important than your ability to enjoy the persistent universe at this
base. And listen to a radio. That's what he means, yeah.
Oh.
This base. No, it's let's switch this question around. How can you reduce it? Well, it's going to be space stations where you come and go with your cargo, and then there's going to be other jobs to bring that cargo down to the planet. So it's not like you're going to come there with your whole sea or your major trading ship and say, well, I'm going to go down and land on this planet with my cargo. No, you're offloading in space. And then you're reloading in space and you're shooting off again. You're not constantly going in and out of the atmosphere. If you go down to a planet, you have a very specific reason to go down for a planet, unless you're just shooting the breeze. So don't worry about what it does now, how long it takes. This travel time is going to be made worth it. You know.
Yep.
If you do a mission that takes you half an hour, the payout for that is probably not going to be in relation to a mission that's going to take you 2 or 3 hours. So they're going to fix that. They're going to change that. And we're just now talking about mission, not trade itself. Yeah. In trade itself, there's so many openings, and that's just going to be down to you knowing what's kind of... There's going to be third-party apps where you can see what's the prices on the other place and what's the prices here. Well, my experience say they don't fluctuate that much within 2 hours. So I should be able to go over there, buy that stuff, come back here and sell it. So that's it's down to you paying attention, experience, using third-party apps, and so forth. So all of that stuff is in there. So
also, you'll know there'll be in certain areas like what you're talking about, Theo, where there'll be like a industry that uses one type of material, and it's clear over here, and the mine to get that stuff is over there. So you could stage it like you were talking about. You could build it up, stage it. So maybe that run doesn't make sense to sell it right now. You stage it there. And then, hey, watch the metrics, watch the third-party apps. Whenever that thing's building a lot and it goes down, you just log on, sell it. So there's going to be opportunities to do stuff like that. If you look at the overall architecture and layout of how trade is working in that system, you're going to see those type of patterns develop in different systems and stuff.
Especially when you use the third-party apps, because you need to pay attention to be good at something and anything.
Or maybe they integrate those third-party apps into like JobWell or some bullshit like that, and you can go and watch the market in-game.
I can use my phone Mobi app and see what's going on.
Right? Maybe. In like 5 years.
Yeah. After they come out with a Mobi app watch.
A Star Citizen branded watch to keep you attached to the universe.
Hook it into Samsung, make it an app, baby. It'll work on my Galaxy.
It's going to be an app for your phone and your tablet. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably going to have a small widget that's going to be you're going to be able to put in your smartwatch.
Yep, that's what I want. I want to perpetuate a whole image of hologram of Chris Roberts to come up and be like Obi-Wan Kenobi and be on there. It's like, hey, are you ready to check the markets today? It's like this be perfect.
Werewolf again. With physics grids becoming a thing and internal grids being affected by the movement of the ship, isn't putting a pool table in a VIP lounge and the 600i a lawsuit waiting to happen?
Yes, but God, it's going to be glorious.
I have to go in 10 minutes, so can we speed run? Nonsensical questions.
Well, but how do they? Is it
like
little small objects just
underneath? You know, it's when you're not using it, it's stored underneath. Next question.
Special gravity balls.
Look at it this way.
Teleporting elevator.
You have pool tables on board of cruise ships that are gyro stabilized on the more expensive ones. So
or they're
they can do it
holograms.
on spaceships.
Oh,
Maybe
There's
in the
another
future.
nonsense question.
Hologram balls.
When will you invite Derek Smart onto the show to present a balanced perspective?
Never.
I have. He blocked me.
Right, you tried. Very balanced. How long until?
I don't think we wouldn't have invited him for a balanced perspective, though.
Oh yeah, one
I
bananas.
invited. Seriously, way back in the day, years ago, and he blocked me. So I don't. He doesn't want to have a conversation.
No, he doesn't.
Right now, I heard his viewership's pretty well down this point.
Well, he definitely doesn't want me to point out the fact that the scale of the game that he last built was way the fuck off and didn't function and got taken off of Steam. So
How long until all the base shows are produced using Face over IP exclusively?
fuck VoIP.
It has to be a different tool than it is today.
You can't run
And
the
the game
game
has
at the
to be
same
out.
time.
The game has to be out and stable, and the tool
Fuck
has to be
VoIP.
better than it is.
VoIP, I'm cool with. VoIP is a good feature, but VoIP, whatever. It's
I love-
so not. You're
We're going to be using the
I
camera.
love it.
Dial.
I use the selfie cam
Control.
during stream all the time, so I can just go like shock face, cut back, go back to give it. Like every 5 minutes. Like I actually played an hour and a half one day with VoIP sitting there, and I got more views on that video of me just playing, making faces than I did all my commentary. What's that say about me?
yeah,
It says
VoIP
something about the
improvements
people
are
watching.
coming, for sure.
Yeah,
To Mitauchi's viewers, that says a lot about you viewers.
I know. I know.
With the
I
rumors
start
leaks,
shows with sock puppets.
let's see, next one. With the rumors leaks of an Idris upgrade kits, Idris K, do you think we'll get an Astro Kitty skin for the Idris?
Yes, because they'll sell anything.
Seriously? Well,
That's
this
what it
sounds
said.
anything. But
It's not a leak. It's a
That's a win question.
do you really want to see those things in space? And then if people buy them and they,
Oh,
Have
blow
to
them
apply
up
to,
for
like-
sure.
oh my god,
I don't
so
want to see Hello
ugly.
Kitty on an Idris.
Be pink kittens floating all through space.
And that's
Right.
true. Pink Idris will be the first one to get wrecked.
Yeah,
No question. Because people
Yeah.
will be like, oh, you're a douchebag.
yeah. Astropub and the Mountaineers or whatever he's trying to make, and they'll get one, I'm sure.
Steph
shit.
Marster, will Jinja consider growing a mustache like Scatman? It would suit you, maybe. No? Okay.
Well, he's actually had mustache, but not anywhere near the Scatman.
No.
Nope. Wife don't like it.
Too bad. Well,
If you know what I mean. Some of you wouldn't know because you're all single and fucking
That's why the
locked in your
mustache is
mom's
short. Remember?
what is the crew's...
right.
I don't even want to go into this. What is the crew's opinion of the current in-game event and how the daily expo show floors? It's
Day
cool.
one was kick ass.
I just
Day 2 and 3 are blah.
I see this happening. when it comes to in-game events like that. I see that happening in the future as well, and I think it was by design too that they want to put this stuff in game because that's where it's going to happen eventually anyway. But I think that it like right now the expo is just like it's stuff you can check out. It's like under the surface of Hurston, which is kind of dumb too. Like, why was it placed there and it's not an actual physical part of the city? But I mean, apart from all of that, the whole an event like that is going to occur in game, and I love like the whole expo. Ship Expo is a great idea because you could do it on any planet really. If they go around and visit different cities to do this expo,
do a tour.
But it would have to have a lot of extra content behind it, and like you can do extra missions that are tied to that, or gain some whatever from flares and whatever you can obtain there.
I think it's a cool concept, and I hope they expand it.
Yeah, they have to expand it. Yeah.
Yeah, what would be really cool though in it is if they would have, if FOIP was working, which is not, would have been cool to have some of the devs walking around there using FOIP, and then they like pitch you like the guys do at a car show, like about their vehicle and stuff like that. Yeah. That would be cool. Like from 2 to 6, like so and so is going to be hanging out down there talking about this and just talking in game. Like that would make it even better to me. I think it's a cool idea for people who haven't been in some of these ships that they can get in them and check them out, like you would at a car dealership. And I hope they continue all that stuff. But yeah, it needs more content to make it relevant in game. I feel like the one they did with all the animation stuff the other year was better as far as like advertising it and marketing.
I'm hoping that they were going to have that.
Yeah, it would have been
game
cool,
with the Galactic Gear guy up there doing a presentation like every hour or something like that.
That's what I'm talking about. In-game stuff. Well, because imagine that if you could see the commercial or see the thing on their Twitch, or you could see it in game and be there in the audience, be like one of the guys at the car show going like, "Hey," that would have been cool. So hopefully they elevate it to that next year.
It's actually one of those things that when you talk about World of Warcraft, it is one of those things that does make the whole makes that whole RPG quite a bit more lively in the fact of how the world feels for people, because occasionally you have these events and then there would be weird people walking around in Stormwind and stuff like that. You're like, well, what's going on? It is kind of cool how it often in certain times just changes and stuff's happening around towns and around city, because it happens in real life too.
It opens the door for future content for sure.
Events, yeah. Warwolf, how many interdictions in a single quantum jump is too many?
One
for most people. I think those should be relegated to what area of space you're in more than like some sort of number. Like if you're in pirate space, like you got an 80% chance of getting interdicted by something. If you're in like UE controlled space, it's rarely going to happen. You got like a 2% chance. That's
well, it all ties into the probability volumes that Tony spoke to, and I don't think that they function properly at this time.
We don't have enough space for them to function, right? We're traveling through controlled space to controlled space. We need to have like some sort of evil dark area so that those functions can be more consistent there. I don't know.
Well, I think what they in the future is certain paths from certain planets to other planets in Stanton in order to test the system will be more likely to see interdictions than other planetary travels.
That's the way I took it all right now. They're just testing stuff. So.
Yeah. It's hard to keep perspective on the fact that everything is a fucking work in progress.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's not a game yet. We're still just playing a test.
Tech demo, damn it. A playable tech demo.
Zero the Wraith, has CIG said anything recently about owning multiple game packages on one account, and if it's still connected to player customizable NPCs?
That is still the theory?
That is still the theory, but that is like the theory from a long time ago. I guess it could still be...
They haven't said anything official.
Yeah, they haven't said it, not for a long time now, but we assume that's still how it's going to work.
Get an update on that until you have a hireable NPC that you can get on your constellation and direct him to man the turret.
No.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll
We got a
start
few
thinking.
builds of AI to go first here
Yeah,
before
yeah,
that's
yeah.
even going to be a reality.
That's gonna be
Yep.
relevant for some time. How Warwolf, how many hours of Grey Cat rental should it take before you can buy a Grey Cat?
One.
Huh?
No,
He was teasing us about the whole renting a constellation thingy.
Right.
Grey Cat, I think you should be able to get it that day if you want to grind for it and you want to blow your money on the Grey Cat. Sure, why not?
Grey Cat's fun.
Yeah.
It's not useful, but it's fun.
it's the rent versus paying it. How long should, if you can make money using a Grey Cat, let's say you can make money. How long?
I think
should
your
you rent
starter
it
money that you
versus buying
have,
it?
you should be able to rent
No.
it right then when you launch the game if you want.
Yeah, but
That
how
cheap.
long should you rent it versus buying it? You know, should it's 10 hours of renting the same as buying it?
You know what a segue is?
Yeah.
Okay. What they should do,
They need to
tying
add
back
those
into
in.
the earlier question of why can't you drive your buggies in the city, is they should have Grey Cat rentals and designated paths that you can traverse cities in Grey Cats.
I think we scared them of that in Area 18.
It was
right.
a pretty
I think
messy thing.
That's why they'll never have segways. They'll never have like skateboards or hoverboards. They'll never have any of that in this game because we ruined it for you.
Good
if you
point,
came in the
Patrick.
game less,
Grey
later on,
Cats
then
could
that's
be
it.
like an Uber with an NPC driver that doesn't try to kill other players.
So they're going to do that, make really cool cars instead of just Grey Cats.
By then you're
Yeah,
just
like-
talking about public transport, hence trains, and
same thing.
it's the same thing.
But
But
maybe
it's
if you
different.
call a Grey Cat on your Moby Glass, and then you can get directly where you're going instead of having to circle the whole train.
What if you could buy all your stuff on an app and have a Grey Cat deliver it?
Brilliant. We should market that and do that in real
Yes.
life.
Yeah.
Bang Chow. Insurance and claim costs stay the same, but takes longer to get back, or you get back to the same time, but prices for expedite rise. What would you rather prefer if particular economy is struggling?
That's based on market price. So if let's say that they have 10 reclaims, and there's only 8 available, whoever pays the premium gets them. And if you don't want to pay premium, you have to wait a little longer. I'm fine with that. Premium is extra on top of your already paid insurance. So let's say you don't want to wait 2 hours or 13 hours, depending on, or a week based on the size of the ship. You pay an extra premium on top. I'm fine with that. I'm saying that
punishing by
instead of a week,
wasting time is kind of
That's
A
the only
week
type of
versus
punishment
12
there is in the game.
let's say a week, 7 days. It would take 9 days due to this. It takes longer to produce because of local economy being infringed on.
Yeah.
So you pay premium to get it in 7 days instead of 9
They
days
are
or 12 days.
absolutely going
Both.
to have to punish you by time and finances
Right.
to prevent you from being an absolute dickbag in
Yep.
game.
I will be the
It's the
biggest asshole
only
ever
way to
if you
do
get
it.
my shit back instantly all the time.
All right, I pay 1,000 UEC and I get it back in a minute, or there's no option for me to get it back in a minute. Maybe the wait time is an hour or 2 hours
Yeah.
or something like that. That's going to make you think about getting into an engagement
Mhm.
every time. Is it worth it? What if I lose? Blah blah blah.
I'm going to be spending. I'm just saying now. Every day, and every time I get attacked, and I'm in a ship where I'm not the primary aggressor. I'm going to be using my missiles. I'm going to be spamming my missiles. I'm going to be having everybody in the group spamming missiles. We're going to drown you in missiles because it's cheaper to buy new missiles than to wait for a new ship and lose the cargo and lose everything and have an increase.
Yep.
If you keep losing a lot of times, insurance is going to go up and all that stuff
Yep.
on cargo and extra equipment. So fuck that. I'm going to be spending a ton of money on the best missiles, and I'm going to be using them on you. And if you attack us, we're not just going to disable you and run. We're going to obliterate you. That's the. I'm gonna
feel
spend
threatened
extra
now.
cash.
Yeah.
I feel I'm gonna spend the extra cash to make sure you're dead before I leave.
And if I'm deciding to attack a convoy or a target or anything, I got to decide what ships I'm going to bring, because if I lose that hammerhead or I lose a big ship trying to attack something, do I want to wait a week? Was it even worth me attacking the guy? Did it even mean, like, if I didn't know he had good cargo, did I just like waste fuel and resources and missiles and all this crap to attack him only to make nothing? Like, you know, there's all this stuff you got to think about.
Imagine 4 million players, and how many idiots are there going to be in there? Yes, there will be people like that all the fucking time.
Yep.
Well, they're going to have to be educated.
Yes, and we're going to
by
educate them.
penalty, because like corporal punishment works, whether you approve of it or not. So you learn the easy way ahead of time by listening and paying attention, or you learn the hard way by sitting there bitching that your ship isn't going to be available for 5 hours. So guess what? Now you got penalized. You don't get to play for 5 hours.
And as a person that has multiple combat ships, it's not that much restitution when you lose all 20 of them. And you're looking at your timer. It's like, well, I can hit the button on all these. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, people may learn these things in the game by, you know, reading or whatever other ways presented to them before they try it. But if they fail to learn it like that, and they do repeatedly blow up their ships, then yeah, that's the thing. Though, you still, yeah. Anyway, Grizz, how many times do you think you're going to play through Squadron 42?
Does it suck?
Many times.
42 times.
Does it suck?
If it doesn't suck 3 or 4 times.
Does it suck?
If it's amazing.
At least once.
It
won't
sucks.
suck.
It's going to be great now.
It looks pretty good so
If they
far.
had co-op in it, I'd probably play more.
Yep. I want to play
Are
Mark
we done?
Hamill's guy and be a complete dickbag in
What?
co-op.
I'm 6 minutes over time for another meeting. Are we done?
You can go. Have fun.
I guess so.
Bye.
I have a sock puppet. I can move over to his screen.
Just keep the web.
I'll play.
Oh,
I'll be
doesn't matter.
TO.
Okay, we're going to go now, guys. Thank you for coming. Have a good day.
I can do the outros. You can leave if you want. But I won't do. Probably you need
switch
to.
camera. But I'll leave the screen for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it. Really true other questions. It was a great show. Mitauchi, what are you going to do? You going to stream later today or tomorrow or
maybe later tonight. Most likely it'll be tomorrow, because we have to tear down the entire office and we're moving stuff today. So
well, I think that was my arrangement with him. Is he said he doesn't necessarily stream on Sundays, so Sundays was
not
good
required.
So it doesn't intrude on his.
That's how I got
numbers.
him on this show, right? Which is like we discussed in the last roundtable. It's becoming increasingly more difficult to get streamers to come, content creators to come, because now they're telling me it affects their numbers, which I guess I get, because if you're scheduled to stream on Sunday and you're giving up that revenue, you don't want to give up that revenue. It's too bad, but it is what it is.
This should be fun.
Well,
what is? I guess you're like Mitauchi everywhere. Tell me you're Mitauchi everywhere. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Mitauchi on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram.
That's great.
What else do they make me use?
Instagram.
Facebook. Hey,
Facebook.
Hey, I don't like using any of those things, but I do it because
works.
you have to expand your social reach. Businesses only work with you if you have certain numbers, and so I got to use them all. That's the way it works, baby.
Is that Twitch mandated? They give you a list of shit.
No, if you want to work with other people like share companies and all their crap, they want you to use this stuff because they don't care how many subs you have or if you're partnered anymore, since they give everybody partnership now. They care what your social reach is.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to increase mine from 33,000. I need to hit 50,000. So here you go.
Oh,
so follow me.
If you're not following Mitauchi, it's mandatory for all of the base radio viewers to go follow Mitauchi now. He doesn't post politics at all, ever. So, yeah, well, I don't know. Instagram, I think you're going to have to reach out to the 12-year-olds for that. Because
anybody, I don't care. Get on there. I
Tell
usually
your younger siblings to go follow Mitauchi on Instagram.
Yeah, find me on Instagram. I only put photos of like me and the kids on there half time anyway, but whatever.
He's gone. He was back. We're still not off the air.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's odd.
Yeah.
It's a nice
That was
shirt.
weird, right?
Well,
Yeah,
Why are you
tune
back?
in every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2100 CET, 2000 UTC, whatever
Thanks,
the hell it
Bender.
is, noon in the Pacific.
noon, yeah.
I don't know what it is in
Australia.
Australia. It's something crazy hour. It's I think it's early morning there right now.
Unfortunately, yeah. So
And we'll be back next Sunday talking more shit.
There you go. Thanks for having me on.
Let me get a jingle, man. You're way
Thank
too
you
fast.
for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Don't forget,
Appreciate it.
we have
Thanks for pushing buttons.
radio shows and all that kind of good stuff. Go to the schedule, check it out. Cold
Push
Vision,
links, follow stuff.
and
Oh,
track,
Discord, blah, blah, blah.
the Auto DJ, Miss Hart, sometimes Rico. Unfortunately, Nitro's better, but I'm not gonna. Well, I just did say that. Anyway,
You just did that. Let's go. See you later, everyone. Thank you for watching. It'll be on YouTube later in the week. I got a couple of days. Give me a couple of days. I can do it. See ya.
as long as this PC doesn't crash, it's good.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep.
I support the monkeys. Do you? Check out The Base, 24/7 online radio. Oh, yeah! Visit us at TheBase.sc. They're professionals.